ರೂಪಾ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಸತೀಶ್ ಗೌಡ ನೋಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲವಾದ್ರ
ಡ್ರೈವರ್ನ ಇದು ಡೆಸ್ಕ್ಟಾಪ್ ನ ಹಾಕೋಬೇಕು, ಹಾಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
ಫೋನ್ ನೋಡ್ರಿ ವಾಹಿನಿಗೆ
ಸೈಲೆಂಟ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಫೋನ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ರಿಂಗ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಆಯ್ತಾ?
ರೂಪಾ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ವಾಹಿನಿ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ, ಒಂದು ಅಲೌ ಮಾಡಿ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು
ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್
ಇದು ಕೆಳಗೆ ಹಾಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಎತ್ತರ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
ಸೈಡ್ ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಹಾಕಿ.
ಹೊರಗಡೆ
461 ಜನ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
Sir, Venkatrao sir has joined now.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಸರ್.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಸರ್. ಗುಡ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಸರ್.
ಇದು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ತೆಗಿಮ್ಮ ವಾಹಿನಿ.
ಮೇಡಮ್, ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಅಲೌವಿಂಗ್ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್.
ವಾಹಿನಿ, ರೂಪಾ,
ಸತೀಶ್ ಗೌಡ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಶಾರ್ವರಿ ಅಂತ ಇರ್ತದೆ.
Mr. Vinod, please stop the screen share.
DCM ಬಂದ್ರ?
ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ DCM ಸರ್.
ಸರ್ ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಸರ್. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಸರ್. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಸರ್. ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಶೇರ್ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ವಿನೋದ್, ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಶೇರಿಂಗ್.
Okay. Start Vani. Naman.
I'm here, sir.
Yeah.
Madam.
Start.
Satish Gowda.
Namaskar, DP6 sir.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ ಸರ್.
Yeah. All of you mute and then we'll start.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Start, Naman.
Indeed. My humble salutations to all the ladies and gentlemen. We are beginning the formal program. I seek that I urge on behalf of the institution that you all remain muted.
ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಸರ್.
ഓക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് അത് റെഡി ആയി.
പ്ലേ ദ വീഡിയോ.
പിന്നെയും അന്ന് 10ാം തീയതി നൈറ്റ് പിന്നെയും
I request the technical team to kindly play the video.
ഇയാൾ ഒബ്സർവേഷൻ വെച്ചു. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് 12ാം തീയതി എല്ലാം കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞു 12ാം തീയതി മോർണിംഗ് ചെയ്തോളാം.
Thank you. Before we go into the conventional segment of the event, I request the architect, the instrumental personality behind this event, our beloved Vice Chancellor, sir, to formally welcome all the guests and dignitaries here. Sir, sorry for my intervention. You're on mute, sir. Yes, sir, now good to go.
Dignitaries, Vice Chancellors of all central and state and deemed universities, registrars, deans, chairpersons of different departments, professors from across the country, educationist management, principals from affiliated colleges, research scholars, dear students, print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen. We have with us today Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, Dr. C.N. Ashwath Narayan Ji, Professor D.P. Singh Ji, Chairman, UGC, Vice Chairman, UGC, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan Ji, and we will have our valedictory address as Deputy Chief Minister Shri Govind Karbal Ji. And on the second day, we have Honorable Minister for Primary Education, Shri S. Suresh Kumar. A galaxy of erudite educational experts have converged for this workshop on national education policy that has been planned for the next 5 days. The AICT Chairman Anil Sahasrabudhe, Anna University Vice Chancellor Professor M.K. Surappa, NAT Director Professor H.A. Sharma, Director Jayadeva Institute of Cardiology C.N. Manjunath, Rajiv Gandhi Health University Vice Chancellor Professor Sachidanand, former Director of IIC Professor P. Balram, UGC member Professor M.K. Sridhar, Vice Chancellors of Bangalore University former N.R. Shetty, Professor L.M. Patnaik, Professor R. Venkatrao, Professor H.P. Kimcha, former Vice Chancellors of Bangalore University, Professor Siddhappa, Professor B. Timmegowdaji, Professor H.A. Ranganathji, Pro Vice Chancellor of JM University, Professor Sandeep Shastri, or the resource persons, Founder and Chairman of Academic and Creative Teaching, Guru Raj Karajgi, Founder and Academic Director, GR Institution, Geeta Ramanujam, then Head of Biocon Foundation, Director, Mission Director, Pratima Rao, Azim Premji University, Professor Rishikesh, are all there with us, and Manasa Nagbhushan Director are all there with us as resource persons. You all know that India, Egypt, and China were the cradle of civilization. India was the bedrock of educational system in this world. The ancient universities, Nalanda and Takshashila, are the outstanding examples of our educational system, philosophy, culture, innovation, and science and technology. The weaponries that were used in Mahabharata and Ramayana are the standing examples of science and technology. And today, if any country has to develop, or if it is in the pinnacle of its development system, it is because of its educational system. We are on the path to this wonderful educational system, which we are going to unveil in the next 4 days with deliberations, discussions, and I am profusely thanked our Honorable Deputy CM for being with us, gracing this occasion, and Professor D.P. Singh Ji, as UGC Chairman, who will be the keynote speaker, Bhushan Patwardhan Ji, who is the guest of honor, and also I will thank Govind Ji and Suresh Kumar for their august presence in this 5-day seminar. Thank you, one and all, for this great event and great conclave, and I hope you'll all be benefited by this conclave and this 5-day webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir. Well, with the blessings of the dignitaries, now I seek to begin. From the words of Swami Vivekananda, what is education? Is it book learning? No. Is it diverse knowledge? Not even that. And then, what is it? It is the training by which the current expression of will are brought under control and become fruitful. That is called education. And this is by the words of the great monk Swami Vivekananda. I, Naman Wankadari, a proud student of Bangalore University, consider it as a privilege of the highest order to be the master of ceremony for today's event. And with utmost regards and heartfelt reverence, once again, I take this opportunity to welcome the esteemed dignitaries and all the ladies and gentlemen. Taking inspiration from the Vice Chancellor's speech, let me add on that speaking about the evolution of this incredible nation, Bharat, as an ancient civilization, this is a nation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting a small disturbance in the background. I'd request all of you all to stay on mute. My apologies. To continue, this is a nation, unlike its contemporary civilizations or empires. Bharat did not believe in imperialization or colonialization as a means of expansion or domination. And this is a nation that believed in oneness and united the globe through intellectual might. Hence, we were revered as Vishwaguru. And it was an identity long lost with time. And under the leadership of the current central government and its implementation of NEP, we see the resurrection of Bharat as a Vishwaguru in the days to come. As opined, 21st century is going to be the century of India. Bangalore University, under the leadership of our Vice Chancellor, takes this opportunity to host a 5-day workshop on highlights and implementation of national education policy. And we are blessed that all the 5 days we have galaxy of academic stalwarts who will be gracing the plethora of sessions. Summing it up in the words of Swami Vivekananda, Bharat is like a lioness that is fast asleep. Wake her up and she shall roar. And NEP is that awakening, ladies and gentlemen, which shall make India roar in the 21st century and in the centuries to come. Now, I'd like to call upon Divyashri and Varsha, students of Bangalore University Law College, to render the invocation song. Miss Varsha, now you may have the floor.
Gajamukha Kubahana Sharanu Suragana Sevita Sharanu Gajamukha Kubahana Sharanu Suragana Sevita Sharanu Sakala Vishnadayaka Sharanu Sakala Vishnadayaka Sharanu Vignavi Nayaka Sharanu Gajamukha Sharanu Suragana Sevita Sharanu Suragana Sevita Sharanu Suragana Sevita. Thank you.
Thank you, Divyashri and Varsha. With that melodious rendition, you have given an awakening to the gods and goddesses that reside within us. Now, I'd like to call upon Professor Dr. V. Sudesa, an eminent jurist, senior faculty of law, former syndicate member of Bangalore University, former vice chancellor acting of Bangalore University, former principal dean and chairman of University Law College and Department of Studies in Law, to render the formal welcome address.
Thank you, Naman. Good morning and namaskars to one and all. The dignitaries, the resource persons, vice chancellors, registrars, professors, teachers, students, and all the participants present in the inaugural session of the workshop on highlights and implementation of National Education Policy 2020. We are all part of this workshop today to take the national education policy forward. The year 2020 may have brought us medical and social challenges to tackle the pandemic. However, in the field of education, the national education policy has brought cheers to all the stakeholders involved in the efforts of reforming the education sector in India. Indeed, the National Education Policy 2020 is like an oasis in a desert. The National Education Policy has, across the length and breadth of this country, been hailed as the most revolutionary document insofar as education is concerned in this country. Bangalore University feels proud to host the largest ever 5 days virtual workshop on the National Education Policy Program. And why not? Apart from Bengaluru being known as the Silicon City, it is also known for its education institutions and therefore is also the education hub of India. It's a great honor and privilege for me to welcome all the dignitaries present in the inaugural session on behalf of Bangalore University. To do the honors in the inaugural session, we have with us today Namma Mantri, Dr. C.N. Ashwath Narayan. Sir, he is the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister and Minister of Higher Education, Government of Karnataka. Sir, we welcome you and thank you for having consented to deliver the inaugural address in the workshop on National Education Policy 2020. Sir, we are sure your address today will act as the necessary catalyst for a steady start in the process of implementation of National Education Policy. Namaskara, sir, and welcome you once again.
Namaste, sir. Mantriji.
We have with us Professor D.P. Singh, Chairman, University Grants Commission. Sir, I extend a hearty and warm welcome to you on behalf of Bangalore University. Sir, your keynote address today will inspire all the stakeholders in taking the right steps in the implementation of the National Education Policy. Namaskar and welcome to you, sir.
Namaste, D.P. Singh ji, sir.
Our guest of honor for today's inaugural session is Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, the Vice Chairman of University Grants Commission, New Delhi. Sir, on behalf of Bangalore University, I extend a hearty and warm welcome to you, sir. Namaste, sir.
Namaste, thank you.
Namaste, Patwardhan ji, sir.
Our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor K.R. Venugopal, sir, will deliver the presidential address in this inaugural program. Sir, on behalf of Bangalore University, all its teaching, non-teaching staff, and on behalf of all the virtual gathering, I extend a hearty welcome to you, sir. Welcome, sir.
Namaste.
We are honored to have all the syndicate members, academic council members of Bangalore University in this program. I extend a hearty welcome to you, madam and sirs. I extend a hearty welcome to all the deans of all the various faculties, chairpersons of the departments, and principals of constituent colleges of Bangalore University and affiliated colleges. I welcome you all to this inaugural session. Furthermore, I extend a hearty and warm welcome to all the vice chancellors, former vice chancellors, resource persons, professors, teachers, students, and all the online viewers to this inaugural session. We hope that this 5-day national workshop will take us to a new beginning in course of time. Welcome to one and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much today, sir, for such a warm welcome address. Now, I'd like to seize this opportunity with absolute privilege and honor. Delivering the inaugural address is our beloved leader, someone who works like a horse and lives like a hermit, a karma yogi of the highest order, as far as I have known, the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister and Minister of Higher Education, Dr. C.N. Ashwath Narayan, sir. Sir, with your permission, I'd like to just take a few seconds to read your profile, sir. C.N. Ashwath Narayan, sir, is an Indian politician and the 8th Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka. He's also the Minister of Higher Education, Information Technology, Biotechnology, Science and Technology, and Skill Development, Entrepreneurship, Livelihood in the Government of Karnataka. He is a member of the Karnataka Legislative Assembly, representing the Bharatiya Janata Party from Malleshwaram constituency, Bangalore, and also a doctor by qualification who graduated from Kasturba Medical College, Manipal, a karma yogi who has strongly dedicated himself to the cause of the people, be it as a family man, young doctor, and now as a people's representative. Dr. Ashwath Narayan sir's focus to serve others and rid the society of its ailment has always remained undeterred. His continued efforts at forming a healthy society only to prove that this community doctor is true of the people, by the people, and for the people, apart from remains true in spirit. Apart from the tremendous work he's doing as a COVID warrior and as an astute statesman, he will always be remembered for his magnanimous amount of charity that he always does. One such remarkable one will be where he sponsored the education of nearly 5,000 students. I consider it as my blessing and privilege to now hand over the floor to you, sir. Over to you, sir.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Good morning to all the dignitaries, academicians, research scholars, students, syndicate members, academic council members, vice chancellors, registrars. Under the able leadership of our vice chancellor, Professor Dr. K. Venugopal, for conducting the informative and academic workshop to inculcate and create awareness about the new education policy 2020. On this occasion, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our Professor D.P. Singh, Chairman UGC, Vice Chairman Dr. Patwardhan, Bhushan Patwardhan, and other dignitaries. It's a real honor to have all the dignitaries on this platform and this virtual meeting. I think all of us here and the entire society believes very strongly the education is the first thing we need to emphasize. If you want to empower any person, if you want to bring in any changes, you want to witness any growth, sustainable, you want to see the society to progress and to become a law-abiding citizen, or the care or concern for the entire nature as a whole, as a holistic person and a meaningful living, any person wants to have, without a right education, a right kind of understanding, without a right kind of understanding, it cannot be complete. Otherwise, the society, time and again, it continue to face a lot of challenges. Then where the problem arises, how it comes up, how it crops up, it will always be questioned. Because the problem lies in the kind of education system what we provide. For all challenges, all ills, all kind of problems, what we face in society is basically the kind of education system what has been provided to the citizens of those countries. It all depends on the education system. So fully understanding the government of India, and even the previous governments have done their best. But somehow the purpose and what we wanted, the kind of quality of education, the kind of solution, or the kind of education system, what people are looking for, we are not able to provide. To make the entire society in all round, to get the entire society to get an all-round development, there were some flaws in the education system. So time and again, all the bearers are the centers of management of the education system have tried their best. In this pursuit, in this direction, now the new education policy has come out with a lot of reforms, which is going to address many of these challenges. By adopting of the new education policy, the most important is all policies will be good. How best we implement, how we are going to effectively implement is most important. So in this direction, the initiative taken by the Bangalore University is really laudable, appreciable, because the first and foremost, the necessity of an reforms or the necessity, how it is going to change has to be made understood by, we need to make them understand, all the stakeholders should need to be made to understand how it is going to change the very the perception or the way education is going to be a solution. So this is most important in this direction. We need to create a lot of awareness among all the stakeholders, the necessity of the reforms and how it needs to be implemented in each and every institution. The spirit of the new education policy, how this is in a solution, we need to emphasize and convey it very strongly. This kind of workshops, probably this is just a beginning. We need to create awareness time and again in all the levels. In all the levels, we need to create an awareness. And by that way, I think next 1 year, next 360 days, each day, we need to emphasize a lot on this awareness. So how this education policy is going to change the quality of education, how it is going to become a solution, how it will change the way the things are done. Because for all the challenges, this is the answer. And this education policy for the past 38 years, 34 years, it has not been revised. Now, since it has been revised, I think the stagnation in the system has been overcome, and we need to take forward to build a new India. For new India, the foundation will be education. As earlier, our Honorable Vice Chancellor was mentioning, the bedrock of the civilization and education was India. So somewhere in between, some of the destruction has happened. We need to take it forward and ensure the same, the glory needs to be brought in, and it has to be promoted very strongly for all the sectors. Let it be any sectors, for economy, social development, for all the ills in the society, for everything, there's a solution. The solution is only the education system, comprehensively from the pre-nursery till the highest level of education, higher learning institution, every levels we need to take it up. And we just it should not be a lip service. It should not be only in the words. We should be totally committed for more than our position, more than our powers. We should have the concerned people, as we've been mentioning, student-centric, people-centric. So the real meaning of people-centric and student-centric, if it has to happen, all our energy channelizing, it is not, all of us have been getting this position, keeping in mind the society and the student. For the sake of the student, everything has been created. So we need to understand the spirit, and we need to work towards that, not just protecting some of the institution or our chairs, our position. It should not be the purpose. The purpose should be all of us are meant for only for people and for the students. So in this direction, all of us are accountable, and we are here to facilitate. And so much of emphasis has been given even earlier. Even as yesterday, day before yesterday, our national government of India, has come out with a national recruitment agency. This is something a way forward. This is just started for CND, non-gazetted. Probably all the levels, we need to have a pool. Otherwise, every person will be holding an application, going around every doors, approaching for a job. How will you get a talent? The very intention of creating a talent in the teaching faculty, the teaching sector, was created to give a highest level of salary. When all these things have been done, still why we are not getting quality? That has been a big challenge. We need to understand, introspect, and work in this direction with all the spirit. Because God, we have been given all the position. Whatever we wanted in our life, all the things have been given to us. We are in that position. So why not give it back? That's a very important thing. This is a right opportunity to understand the spirit of education system, to facilitate, to keep it transparent, accountable, scrutinized, people-centric, student-centric. We need to work in this direction. And as all of us know, the present education system is more of a rote learning. Now, since all the information is available, readily available, all the information, now the concept learning, creative learning, critical learning has to be emphasized. Creative learning is the most important. Critical learning also is very important. Concept learning is very important. Not just, by hearting everything, not understanding the concept. Without a concept, how can you have a knowledge? How it will remain with him? How is he going to make a difference? Without emphasizing on a concept, we can't, take it forward. And all the teachers, they need to continuously learn, the new education policy has been emphasizing on continuous comprehensive education. Somehow, time and again, one final exam or two exams cannot evaluate a student. Continuous evaluation each and every day, it needs to be evaluated. There should be a lot of surprise tests and informed tests, and to understand the quality. And we need to believe each other that we need to ensure, the very purpose is to ensure the quality of education is provided to the children. And for the final assessment, as now in the medical system, the learning outcome. Because ultimately, how much Inspector Raj, if you want to come out of the Inspector Raj and you want to see the real quality learning outcomes, will be the only way to measure how the children have learned and how the institution have fared, how they have performed, not just some of the inspection reports. Ultimately, the quality of the student can only reflect the quality of the learning. In this direction, we need to adopt a lot of things and ensure we need to promote the education, because now the industry-led economy, it has become industry-led economy. It should become an institution-led economy. So this direction, the institution need to grow, and in a bigger level, the kind of personality, the kind of thought, the capacity among all the vice chancellor, the teachers, everything has to increase to lead from the front, and because they are the people who are going to transform the society. In this direction, our state government has given topmost priority for the education. And before the National Education Policy Report could be accepted and announced by the government of India, we had formed already a task force. 4 months back itself, we had formed a task force for the implementation of the National Education Policy. Karnataka would like to be the first state to implement, not just implement, in the right spirit, and the spirit of the intentions, the goals, what kind of results, what kind of targets, what kind of reforms need to be brought in the national education policy. We are completely, will ensure completely that all the intentions and the goals of the national education policy will be implemented in a true spirit, and the benefit will be passed on. And Karnataka will be the most progressive state, since we are the pioneers in a field of education. We want to continue to be the pioneers, and we want to maintain the quality education. It will change the way the people have been living and their quality of life, and all the social evils and social challenges what people have been facing, we will be able to overcome through the reforms in education. With these few words, our Honorable Chief Minister has been always promoting education, and will do whatever it takes. We are not going to limit. This is too much. This is enough. There's nothing like that, sir. We'll extend it to 1,000%, 2,000%, any number. We are willing to take it any extent to ensure the education will get the topmost #1 priority, and will create that kind of awareness among all the people to understand that all the investment, all kind of incentives, initiatives should be given to the education industry. So in the policy, we'll be transforming, we'll be responding to all the people with whatever inputs they come forward. We are willing to respond and ensure all the good things will happen in the state of Karnataka, and we'll be very happy to implement national education policy. I thank all the organizers once again for giving me this opportunity to be part of your function. And Bangalore University probably the first university which has initiated this workshop with regard to the national education policy. This is really appreciable. I think all the universities should follow, and particularly Dr. Venugopal has made a special provision for the people who are participating in this national workshop, a e-certificate. That's a really good concept, giving some kind of incentives to the people who have been part of this national education policy. Probably you can have some more programs where the real spirit, the purpose of the national education policy can be really well understood, and people can come out with some kind of their understanding, and they can put across what is the policy, or what is it all about, what is the present system, how it needs to be transformed, all the changes. Let them give their suggestion from their individual perception. It will go a long way to creating a lot of awareness among the people. And state government will bring in all the administrative and legislative changes within no time. We are going to bring all the reforms in the legislation and in the administrative to ensure for the implementation of national education policy. With these few words, I would like to stop here. Wish all the best for the organizers and dignitaries who are on this discussion. Thank you, one and all. Namaskara. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.
Namaste, namaste, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
The Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, sir's words remind me of a quote said by Rabindranath Tagore. Textbooks contain information, classrooms aid understanding, but true learning stems from the experience of the real world. Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, sir, you are a visionary and your vibrant words reflected your vision. And we are proud and optimistic that our education system at the state shall see great transition under your leadership. Now, with absolute pride and privilege, I'd like to call upon the keynote address speaker, Professor D.P. Singh, sir, Chairman of University Grants Commission, New Delhi. With sir's permission, I would like to take a few seconds to read sir's profile. Dhirendra Pal Singh, sir, also known as D.P. Singh, is an Indian naturalist and academic administrator. He has served as Vice Chancellor of 3 different universities, namely Dr. Hari Singh Gaur University, Banaras Hindu University, and Devi Ahalya Vishwavidyalaya. He is the former Director of National Assessment and Accreditation Council, and currently he is the Chairman of University Grants Commission. The World Health Organization, Geneva, awarded him a study on the role of traditional medicine in public health. His recent scholarly books, Integrative Approaches for Health and Innovative Approaches to Drug Discovery, both published by academic press Elsevier, have received excellent reviews. As the Vice Chancellor of Banaras Hindu Vishwavidyalaya, Professor D.P. Singh contributed immensely to its overall development. BHU was ranked #1 amongst the Indian universities in India Today, a Nelson survey in the year 2010. Creation of UNESCO Chair for Peace and Intercultural Understanding and establishment of an Institute of Environment and Sustainable Development were major achievements of BHU during his time. And now UGC is making tremendous progress under his leadership. Over to you, sir, and we will be blessed to hear your words.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Honorable Deputy Chief Minister and Minister of Higher Education, Government of Karnataka, respected Dr. C.N. Aswath Narayanji, former Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University, Professor K. Siddhappa, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University, and very active and dynamic Vice Chancellor, Professor K.R. Venugopalji, my colleague and Vice Chairman, UGC, respected Professor Bhushan Patwardhanji, Dr. Geeta Ramanujam, all our distinguished resource persons, speakers, our Director NEC, Professor S.K. Sharmaji, all other Vice Chancellors, principals, faculty members, and friends from the educational fraternity, and my dear students. It is indeed an honor and a great privilege to deliver the keynote address at the workshop on highlights and implementation of National Education Policy 2020 organized by the Bangalore University. My compliments to Professor Venugopal. I was particularly happy to listen to the very encouraging, motivating address of our Deputy CM. And with his words of encouragement, I can see a bright future for higher education in Karnataka. We have such dynamic and visionary leadership at the helm of affairs that would facilitate implementation of new education policy in the state of Karnataka in a better way. Friends, 29th July 2020 was a historic moment for India's education system with the unveiling of new national education policy. The first education policy of the 21st century, which was approved by the Union Cabinet, chaired by our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, making way for large-scale transformational reforms, both in school and higher education sectors. This policy is built on the foundational pillars of access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. UGC and MHRD recently organized an online conclave on transformation reforms in higher education under National Education Policy 2020, which was inaugurated by our Honorable Prime Minister of India on 7th of August. Through this conclave, we were fortunate enough to bring the Honorable Chairman of the Drafting Committee, respected Dr. K. Kasturanganji, members of the Drafting Committee of NEP, including Dr. M. K. Sridhar, Professor Manjulu Bhargav, educationists across the country, reputed scientists and educational administrators on one platform. The conclave was attended by the vice chancellors of different universities, directors of national institutes, and principals of colleges from all over India, along with teachers and large number of other stakeholders. It had three technical sessions, the first being holistic, multidisciplinary, and futuristic education, followed by catalyzing quality research and equitable use of technology for better reach in education. Honorable Prime Minister described this conclave as a new beginning for an educated, determined, and all-encompassing developed India under the National Education Policy 2020. Honorable Prime Minister was of the opinion that the NEP will transform our students into global citizens, deeply rooted in India's history, heritage, and composite culture. He said that the NEP 2020 will pave a way for interest, ability, and demands mapping and play a constructive role in nation building. He said the world has huge expectations from 21st century India. India has potential to offer technology and talent-based solutions to the world. Friends, I would now like to share with you the vision and some of the salient features of the NEP 2020. It has been designed with the aim to help Indian students to become global citizens while ensuring that these students stay connected to their roots. The vision of the policy is to instill among the learners a deep-rooted pride in being Indian, not only in thought, but also in spirit, in intellect, and in deeds, as well as develop knowledge, skills, values, and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living, and global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. Friends, global citizens are the ones who take active role in their community, and work with others to make our planet more equal, fair, and sustainable. It is someone who self-identifies not as a member of a state, a tribe, or a nation, but as a member of the human race, and someone who is prepared to act on that belief to tackle our world's greatest challenges. National education policy lays emphasis on recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities of each student by sensitizing teachers as well as parents to promote each student's holistic development in both academic and non-academic spheres. It calls for equity and inclusion as the cornerstone of all education decisions to ensure that all students are able to thrive in the education system. Flexibility for learners is another feature which provides the students the ability to choose their learning trajectories and programs, and thereby choose their own paths in life according to their talents and interests. The policy advocates no hard separations between arts and sciences, curricular and extracurricular, co-curricular activities, vocational and academic streams, etc., to eliminate harmful hierarchies and silos between different areas of learning. Another significant feature of this national education policy is multidisciplinarity and a holistic education across the sciences, social sciences, arts, humanities, and sports, or a multidisciplinary world in order to ensure the unity and integrity of all knowledge. The policy emphasizes conceptual understanding to do away with rote learning and learning for exams, as was emphasized by our Honorable Deputy CM earlier. Creativity and critical thinking to encourage logical decision making and innovation, and focuses on life skills such as communication, cooperation, teamwork, and resilience. Importance of ethics and human and constitutional values, fundamental duties has been stressed upon in the policy. The NEP calls for promoting multilingualism and the power of language, including mother tongue, in teaching and learning. The policy recognizes teachers and faculty as the heart of the learning process. Extensive use of technology in teaching and learning, removing language barriers, increasing access to Divyang students, and educational planning and management is also a major highlight of the NEP. The policy has a new and forward-looking vision for India's higher education system, and quality being the mainstay. This policy envisions some pertinent changes to the current system, which include, and I would like to highlight a few, moving towards multidisciplinary universities and colleges with the name of multidisciplinary education and research universities, with more HEIs across India that offer medium of instruction in local Indian languages, moving towards a more multidisciplinary undergraduate education, also moving towards faculty and institutional autonomy, revamping curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and student support, reaffirming the integrity of faculty and institutional leadership positions, establishment of a national research foundation, academic and administrative autonomy to higher education institutions. It talks about light but tight regulation and also increased access, equity, and inclusion. NEP has emerged with the objective of improved and enhanced research through a holistic and multidisciplinary education approach. Establishment of National Research Foundation (NRF) is proposed under this policy. The overarching goal of the NRF will be to enable a culture of research to permeate through our universities. Under NEP, students will be provided with opportunities for internship with local industry, businesses, artists, craftspersons, etc., as well as research internships with faculty and researchers at their own or other higher education institutions or research institutions. Higher education institutions will also be promoted for establishing startup incubation centers, technology development centers, centers in frontier areas of research, greater industry academic linkages, and interdisciplinary research including humanities and social sciences. NEP also promotes internationalization in order to establish research collaborations and academic collaborations with top-ranked institutions at foreign lands. Friends, the vision enshrined by the new national education policy would require multi-pronged efforts, starting from the leadership to the students, to move forward in establishing a standard of our higher education which are truly world-class. The policies align to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and aims to transform India into a vibrant knowledge society and a global knowledge superpower. As the Honorable Prime Minister suggested, that educational administrators come up with roadmap, resource plan, along with timeline for implementation of the NEP in a mission mode. Our Honorable Education Minister is also motivating us to proactively engage ourselves for early implementation of NEP. Such interactions through webinars on national education policy being organized by different universities and colleges, including the one which is being organized today by Bangalore University, will help in developing a robust roadmap for its implementation. With these words, I sincerely thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to be with you this morning in this workshop. And particularly, I am happy to share this event with Honorable Deputy Chief Minister of the Karnataka state. I wish all the very best for the success of this webinar and the workshop, and I compliment Professor Venugopal and his team for organizing such a event. And he has invited very reputed research persons. Some names are well known in the country. Bangalore has been lucky that the chairman of the drafting committee, Dr. Kasturangan, is also from Bangalore, and Dr. M.K. Sridhar, who was one of the members of the drafting committee, also belongs to the Bangalore city. So with these words, my compliments, my best wishes, and thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Professor Venugopal, I already told you that I have another event right
Yes, sir.
now. So I am sorry, I wanted to be with you for a longer duration, but I have to leave for that. And please forgive me for that.
Yeah, another 30 seconds you can be there, sir. We'll thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, sir, for your really very informative speech. It was indeed very voluminous in nature. Now I take this honor to call upon the guest of honor of the inauguration ceremony, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan sir, Vice Chairman, University Grants Commission. Sir, with your permission, I'd like to take a few seconds to read your profile. Bhushan Patwardhan, sir, was the Vice Chancellor of Symbiosis International University. His domain of work has been research in Ayurveda, Prakriti or biotype, and clinical trials. He is working in the field of evidence-based Ayurveda. He has worked on several policy-making committees and task forces of National Knowledge Commission, Planning Commission, Niti Aayog, and Ministry of Ayush. He has made original contributions in evidence-based Ayurveda, especially in Ayurvedic biology, ethnopharmacology, natural product, drug, developed and integrative approaches to improve public health. It would be an honor to hear you out, sir. Over to you.
Namaskar. Namaste, Professor Venugopal. Thank you very much. Professor D.P. Singh, who has given us a very good overview of the national education policy. I was so happy to listen to Deputy Chief Minister, And I think Dr. Ashwath Narayan also gave his vision, his intent, and his plan, and the vibrancy and the energy that I could feel from his speech. I think that if such ministers are there at the political levels, I'm sure not only the state, but the entire country will get a benefit. I was so happy, Professor Venugopal, that you have involved students in this. So, Sri Naman, who is coordinating this, I'm told that he is student, and the evocation songs and the musical performance which was given was also by your students. So this NEP actually is trying to make our education system student-centric. And so I compliment you to involve students in the whole process, because normally what happens is we take students for granted. And Bangalore city, as Professor D.P. Singh has rightly said, is blessed with a great legacy, as so Bangalore University. I was so happy to see such a huge response. I have participated practically every day. We participate in some or the other webinar, but I must tell you that this is for the first time I'm witnessing such a huge gathering. Not only your university faculty, but the entire university leadership is here. Not only the current vice chancellor, but former vice chancellors are also here. Not only vice chancellors of Bangalore University, but several other university vice chancellors are also here. NAC director, Professor S.C. Sharma is here. And the person who contributed a lot to the policy, Professor M.K. Sridhar, is also here. And several, I cannot take names of many others who are there. Professor Balram is here. And 5 days intensive, real, robust workshop I'm witnessing for the first time. So please accept my sincere compliments for your entire team and your efforts. I'm sure the recommendations which will come out of this workshop will be very, very valuable for implementation of this policy. And as the policy document itself says, that any policy is as good as it is implemented. So I'm sure your effort will be useful in this direction. I would just touch upon, because Professor D.P. Singh has already covered most of the points, so I don't want to repeat what he has said and what is there in the policy. Many of us already may have read the policy document, so I don't want to really talk about what is there in the policy. What I will talk just in 5 minutes is where that policy is expected us to go. And this policy, Dr. Ashwath Kumar is again back here. Dr. Ashwath Narayan, I was just telling them that I was so happy to listen to your thoughts, your energy, your inspiration, and your vision. And I was telling them, which I want to repeat, that if such leaders with such vision and commitment and a great education background are there, then not only Karnataka, but the entire country will be on the right path, which our Prime Minister wants to go for New India to become Vishwaguru. So thank you very much for your gracious presence, and it's so nice to get listen to you. Coming back to what I was talking about, the main highlight of this policy to me is this policy has put students at the center. All these days we were talking about student-centric policy, but student-centric, it was always teacher-centric. You think about it. And we were taking students for granted, and future is going to be co-learning. Future is not going to be one-way dialogue where teacher is teaching students in the classroom and students are blindly listening. But what we used to do when students want to take education, they will come to college, we'll give them prospectus. After prospectus, we'll give them curriculum. After curriculum, we'll give them question bank. After question bank, we'll give them model answers, and we'll evaluate them based on what answers they give and how close they are to what we expect them to write. So in this very student, we are telling them you have to complete this course in 3 years, you have to complete this course in 4 years. If they don't do, then we label them as failures. What right we have? Every student has different capacity, different interest, different intent. And this was completely ignored for so many years. And this policy has very, very boldly brought this together, that the National Bank of Credits, the ABC, Academic Bank of Credit, will give now students opportunity to go on accumulating credits even before they formally start taking education, and they can redeem these credits for against certificate, against diploma, against degrees. They can go and come back, multiple entry, multiple exit. So all these are extremely innovative steps that the policy has taken, and many things at the UGC already we had started implementing. For that matter, National Bank of Credit or ABC, UGC had approved, the commission had approved almost 6 months ago, or the semester outreach program, wherein students are able to go out of the university to learn in the community, because learning and teaching is a collaborative effort, wherein students also participate, teachers also participate, but it is not monopoly of teachers. Teaching is not monopoly of teachers. In fact, the role of teachers also has been highlighted in the new education policy. And I think that whatever limitations our education system has faced so far, one of the major stakeholders who is able to correct that is teacher. And therefore, teachers will not go out of job. Whatever people may say, technology will come. And I know technology will bring so many different facets, but technology cannot replace teachers. Today, you may have read the news that Google is coming out with a plan to disrupt the entire college education system. And what they are trying to do is bring in Google certification system, and I'm sure Google will do it in a very good way. So the role of teacher to give information can be outsourced. Actually, it has been in a many way outsourced to Google already. Your students are able to get information much faster than teachers from Google. But transition of teacher from Upadhyaya, who is there for giving information, to Upadhyaya to Acharya, Acharya to Pandit, Pandit to Drashta, Drashta to Guru. These transitions of teachers will have to move on. And I think the new education policy or national education policy has put this responsibility on teachers. Teachers are not there to give information, but to give more wisdom, to awaken students, to learn them how to learn and collaborate with them, learn from students also. Even today, I learn from my own students. So these kinds of basic mindset changes, this policy has boldly brought in. This policy has also boldly told us that we should be really, our education system should be stemmed on our Indian culture. So Nalanda, Takshashila, Gurukul, and that Gurukul system, ashram system should be connected with today's Kulaguru system, both have strengths. So we have to get in both strengths together and move on further. So this kind of a transformation to make global citizen, to make India Vishwa Guru, what Prime Minister is talking about, I think major responsibility is on academic fraternity, is on the teachers. And I'm sure with such a huge gathering of teachers, which I see here, this is possible. Karnataka has been a leader in many ways. Bangalore University also has been a leader in many ways. And this kind of exercise happening in Karnataka and in Bangalore, I'm very sure that this will give a lot of impetus and a lot of new inputs for effective implementation of the policy. I thank Professor Venugopal and all your colleagues for inviting me to share my thoughts with you. And this was again a very good opportunity to listen to your very visionary Deputy Chief Minister. With these words, I wish all the students very best. And Naman, you have done a great job in comparing this. And please convey my compliments to those who performed, those students. And these are just representative students. My best compliments to all the student community. And we ensure you that with them, we will travel together for this goal. Namaskar. Dhanyawad. Jai Hind. Jai Karnataka.
Bhushan sir.
Karnataka.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bhushan sir, sir, I would want to add something. Really humbled by your compliment. In your background, I see the photo of Sharada Mata, His Holiness Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and the great monk. Seizing that, I would want to mention, sir, just like how Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Sharada Mata empowered a 20-year-old, when he goes to Chicago, United States of America, he puts India on the world map and rest is history. With absolute pride, I would want to bring to the notice of our audience that Bangalore University, under the leadership of our Vice Chancellor and our faculty members, in my personal case, the faculty members of University Law College, they're following the same method. And with the student community as a whole, Bangalore University, the students of Bangalore University will take it as a pledge, utilizing NEP and the support of the UGC and the central government. We will take the student fraternity to the world, just like how the great Narendra alias Swami Vivekananda did, sir. And thank you so much for your heartfelt compliment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Bhushanji, thank you.
Yeah. And Professor Venugopal, as I told you, I also will have to sign off silently in next 5 minutes time because I have another event. Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Ashwath Narayan. I hope to see you sometime, but I was really impressed to listen to you. Thank you very much.
You can introduce Naman.
Absolutely, sir. With pride beaming in my heart and honor, I would like to now call upon our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor Dr. Venugopal KR, sir, an architect, an engineer, not only by educational qualification, but also an architect and a visionary of tremendous social and intellectual development that all of Bangalore University Jnanabharati campus is a witness to today. Before I hand over the floor to sir, I would want to take a few seconds to read sir's profile. An IEEE Fellow and ACM Distinguished Educator for his contributions in the Fraternity of Computer Science. He was the principal of University Vishwesvaraya College of Engineering for 15 years. He has illustrious, distinguished, and brilliant academic career with 11 degrees, including 2 PhDs. He has served UVCE and Bangalore University for over the last 4 decades. He received his ME degree in Computer Science Engineering from the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore Bachelor of Engineering in Electronics and Communications from UVCE, and has also obtained degree in law, journalism, public relations, business finance, economics, industrial relations, and communications. He has authored and edited 72 books. These books are prescribed as textbooks and references in our country and abroad. He has published more than 900 research papers in referred international conferences and journals. He has filed 56 patents and has been credited with 11 patents. He has established 2 engineering colleges and 2 schools in Bangalore. He is a social worker, philanthropist, researcher, one of the most generous souls I have ever personally encountered. He has been leading the beacon light and role model for teachers, students, and all of humanity. Without further ado, I would want to hand over the floor to the man of the moment, our honorable and beloved Vice Chancellor, sir. Over to you, sir.
So thank you, Naman, for this short and brief introduction. And I'm really grateful to our Deputy Chief Minister, Shri Ashwath Narayan ji, for inaugurating this 5-day workshop on national education policy. It's a great fortune that our UGC chairman, Dr. D.P. Singh, has delivered his keynote address. I'm really indeed fortunate that both the chairman and the vice chairman, Bhushan Patwardhanji, is there with us for this inaugural session. We have with us also our Vice Chancellor, the former Vice Chancellor Siddhappa and the other resource speaker Geeta Ramanjam for the first day proceedings. As we have seen in the address that our Deputy Chief Minister has said that Karnataka will be the first state to implement this educational policy. In fact, we were as before, as long as in the March 2020, we were able to start the implementation process of the new education policy. He has been forthright in saying that all the policies of this NEP will be implemented in the next 1 year or so, and especially with all those things which we can, implement without any financial implications. We have seen that Professor D.P. Singh has been given a most voluminous and elaborate address in which he has touched upon all the characteristics and the focal points of national education policy. Professor Bhushan Patwardhan has said that the teacher and the student is the focal point of this national education policy. That reminds me of our great literary giant, G.P. Rajaratnam. He said, when I was a student, I learned from my teachers. And when I was a teacher, I learned from my students. It is the students who have been participating in this, the national education policy, right from the invocation to the end of the program on 28. It is the policy experts, it is the educationalists, it is the vice chancellors, it is all stakeholders which are participating, who are participating in this 5-day webinar. Right from the new education policy, the education policy of 1835, Macaulay Smith, of that we should have good education and English education in this country, to now 2020, the new education policy, which is on the anvil, will make India a global superpower. We have seen once upon a time, the great founding father, Benjamin Franklin, said, tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me, I learn. This is the core of national education policy. Your teachers have to be trained. And we have to see that there should be a paradigm shift. We should move away from the shackles of the archaic methodology of pedagogy. So we say information is available. Information has to be transformed to knowledge and skill. Therefore, it is only through the educational institutions where we can transform the information into knowledge and skill. So education has to be, imparted. It has to be, implemented by the educational institutions and the teachers. As rightly pointed out that by Bhushan Patwardhanji, that first will be a teacher, then Adhyapak, then Pradhyapak, Acharya, Pracharya, then you become Guru and Pravati, and then you yourself become Bhagwan, that is God. So knowledge is power, knowledge is God. Then we have to, see the students make, ahead of their not only just, taking the learning process, they should also be well-rounded. So what I had prescribed, usually yoga, dhyana, pranayama, walk, good food, sleep and thought, this is what we have to prescribe, and this is what the national education policy says and what it is envisages for its implementation by the year 2040. You see great things that comes not in a very easy way. It comes, there are a number of challenges like Nalanda and Takshashila, which are the first universities in the world, and that was in this country. It is one day at the pinnacle of those universities that this country was able to achieve the best in the educational system. It was economically strong, philosophically strong, spiritually strong. It is only education which gives the strength to a nation. One of the stated aims of this policy is to instill a deep-rooted pride. How do you instill a deep-rooted pride? You instill a deep-rooted pride when you learn the language of this country, when you respect this country, and that's what this national education policy envisages in its, what you call as a Magna Carta. The national education policy lays down that by 2040, all higher education institutions will become multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and it will have minimum of 3,000 or more students. And by 2030, there will be at least one multidisciplinary institution in each and every district. It not only says that, it says that it allows top foreign universities to set up campuses in India. A greater proportion of the students getting vocational education and a move towards institutes, including IITs, turning into multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary research institutes. The aim will not only increase the gross enrollment ratio in higher education, including vocational education, from 26.3% to the present to 50% by 2035. Single stream higher educations will be phased out over time, and we will move towards becoming multidisciplinary. The system of affiliated colleges will gradually be phased out in 15 years. The present complex nomenclatures of HEIs in the country, such as the deemed university, affiliating university, and all other types of universities which are there in the present, shall be replaced simply by a university. A university will mean a multidisciplinary institution that offers undergraduate and graduate programs with high quality teaching, research, and community engagement. The definition will allow a spectrum of institutions ranging from that place on equal emphasis on teaching and research intensive universities to teaching intensive universities. The present from even engineering institutions such as IITs will move towards holistic and multidisciplinary education with arts and humanities. Students of arts and humanities will aim to learn more science. Department in languages, literature, music, philosophy, Indology, art, dance, theater, education, mathematics, statistics, pure and applied sciences, sociology and economics, course, translation and interpretation will be established and strengthened at all higher educational institutions. The undergraduate degree will be either of 3-year or 4-year duration with multiple exit options. For instance, a certificate certificate after completing 1 year in a discipline, or a field including vocational and professional areas, or a diploma after 2 years of study, or a bachelor's degree after a 3-year program, or a 4-year multidisciplinary bachelor's program will be the option for the students. An academic bank of credit shall be established, which should digitally store the academic credits earned. The 4-year program may also lead to a degree with research, where research if the student completes a rigorous research project. Model public universities for holistic and disciplinary education at par with IITs and IIMs called MERUs, multidisciplinary education and research universities will be set up. Higher education institution shall move away from high stakes examination towards continuous and comprehensive evaluation. India will be promoted as a global study destination, providing premium education at affordable cost. An international student office at each institution hosting foreign students will be set up. High-performing Indian universities will be encouraged to set up campuses in other countries. Selected universities like those from among the top 100 universities in the world will be facilitated to operate in India. A legislative framework facilitating such entry will be put in place, and such universities will be given special dispensation regarding the regulatory, governance and content norms on par with autonomous institutions of India. In every educational institution, there shall be counseling systems for handling stress and emotional adjustments. Efforts will be made to incentivize the merit of students belonging to SC, ST, OBC, and other SEDGCs. Vocational education will be integrated into all schools and higher educational institutions in a phased manner over the next decade. By 2025, at least 50% of the learners through the school and higher education system will have exposure to vocational education. The BVOC, the vocational degrees introduced in 2013, will continue to exist. But vocational courses will also be available to students enrolled in all bachelor degree programs, including the 4-year multidisciplinary bachelor programs. And to say that Lokavidya, important vocational knowledge developed in India, will be made accessible to students. The HRD, which could be renamed as Education Ministry or Minister of Education, where education would constitute a national committee for the integration of vocational education. The policy also speaks of creating a national research foundation. The policy also mentions the creation of Higher Education Commission of India. As Bernard Shaw says that I am not a teacher, only a fellow traveler of whom you ask the way. I pointed out ahead of myself as well as you. The best teacher is not the one who knows most, but the one who is most capable of reducing knowledge to that simple compound of the obvious and wonderful. Confucius said, a true teacher is one who, keeping the past alive, is also able to understand the present. We already know the great saying, a bad teacher complains, average teacher explains, a good teacher teaches, and a great teacher inspires. It is only in the realm of that technology has, infused a lot of, the changes in the educational system. It can be Internet of Things, it can be artificial intelligence, it can be machine learning, it can be wireless technology, it can be nudge technology where the social media, audio, video, and the cloud have been combined together to provide Philips to this educational chain. And whether it is a blockchain, or it is an online platform, or it is a proctoring tool, or it is augmented reality, or it is a digital library, or digital ethics and privacy, these have been all integrated into the learning solutions. The teacher is only a facilitator today. He should unskill and reskill himself to the changes that are taking place in the educational system. He should learn, relearn, and unlearn. He must be a digital storyteller. He must be innovative, and his pedagogy the methodology should change. The classrooms are going to change. It should be smart spaces, smart campuses with flexible seating arrangements, and the learning can be personalized learning. It can be anytime, anywhere, anyone, any device. This is the methodology that is going to evolve, and it should be a bite-sized learning. It can be a blended learning. It can be a flipped classroom. It can be a student-centric learning. It can be a project-based learning. It can be computational, creative, collaborative. All this type of learning will take place, and this is what we are trying to infuse into this new educational policy. There might be difficulties, but we have to. There are challenges. We have to take up the challenges that we have already become the most or the model 2,000 years back. It is not difficult for us to move to the world leader in 20 years from now. It is the great opportunity that we have seen, and this year, in the year of 2020, where we used to, once upon a time, give spices to the entire world, and all the countries, attack this country for spices. Now, we have come even after 2 millennia, 2,000 years later, we are still in the forefront. We are going to provide 70% of the vaccines for this pandemic and the affected population in this world. It is the critical path method, which is in project management, or a critical mass where the amount of fissile material is required to maintain a nuclear chain reaction. It is a critical fund for an economic growth, or it is an escape velocity for an object to escape and then be in a continuous orbit. This is what we are trying to see in the national educational program. I always used to tell that the first one is Bhiksha. The Bhiksha is what you say that we try to take arms from other country or trying to sustain. That's what happened when they got freedom in 1947. Then we were in a position to help others. That is called Sahayata. Now we are able to donate even our equipment, PPE equipment. In this pandemic, we are able to donate. And our philosophy is Arpana, Samarpana, Seva, and Tyaga. This is the philosophy of this country. We believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We believe in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one family. That's why we will produce the vaccines for this entire world. The Serum Institute is one of the biggest institutes which will be producing vaccines during this pandemic. And I am very sure that people like Kasturi Rangan, people like M.K. Shira, and a galaxy of experts who have converged in this conclave for this 5-day seminar will be able to give us direction for a new path, new road to this country so that we will become self-sufficient, we will become the leaders, we will become the model to this entire world, and we will lead the world once again. I thank Ashwat Narayan ji for his eloquent, what you can say, directions to the state government, and being himself a deputy chief minister, being a young and dynamic deputy chief minister, we'll always see him going from one position to another position, and may God give him all that strength to, take this state forward in next 2 decades. And I am very thankful and grateful to Dr. D.P. Singh for his delivery of address, where he covered almost all the points and characteristic of national education policy. I'm indeed very fortunate to say that both the chairman and vice chairman, Bhushan Patwardhanji, are there for this inaugural address, and I thank them profusely, and I thank all the resource person whom I played in the beginning when I greeted all of them, and I hope that this 5-day seminar will be fruitful, useful, and a path-breaking analysis will come out of this so that this country will regain its lost position in the world. Thank you one and all for giving me an opportunity, and please enjoy. We are seeing more than 4,000 people have logged in to this program, and I hope all the universities will arrange such type of programs, and we'll also be able to help them out. And thank you one and all the stakeholders, educationists, policymakers, and my student community.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, deriving inspiration from Sir's speech, it reminds me of a saying in the Upanishad. The teacher who gives you information is called Adhyapak. The one who imparts knowledge is called Upadhyay. The one who imparts skill is called as Acharya. The one who is able to give deep insight into a subject is called Pandit. The one who has a visionary, a view on a subject and teaches you to think in that matter is called Drishta. The one who is able to awaken wisdom in you, leading you from darkness to light, is called Guru. And our Honorable Vice Chancellor is a Adhyapak, Upadhyaya, Acharya, Pandit, Drishta, and all put together. And we at Bangalore University are blessed to have you as our Vice Chancellor, sir. Now,
thank you.
Before we move into the vote of thanks, there's a small notification that I would want to, a verbal notification that I would want to give our viewers. After the vote of thanks, that means the show has just begun, and we will be moving into the technical sessions, wherein it will be spearheaded by Professor Dr. K. Siddhappa sir, who was the former Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University, and Geeta Ramanujam madam, who is also an erudite personality in the field of arts. They will be discussing and deliberating on their views. So now, without further ado, I'd like to take this privilege to call upon Professor Dr. Hasina Taj ma'am. Dr. Hasina Taj ma'am is a professor and dean, Faculty of Education with 36 years of teaching and research experience at postgraduate level. She was a first rank holder and a university gold medalist. She is a recipient of 13 national and international awards for her excellence in research. She has authored 14 books, in addition to publishing 230 articles in journals of national and international standards and repute. She has completed several major research projects funded by state and national agencies. She has represented, I stand corrected, she has presented more than 300 papers, apart from being invited for various lectures, lead papers, and keynote addresses in national and international seminars and conferences as a resource person. She's been a consultant to several national and state level projects. She's a member of several academic boards and bodies, besides holding honorary position in NGOs and office bearer of several academic and professional organizations. She's a trained HRD facilitator, Bangalore University, Bangalore. Now I call upon Dr. Hasina Tajman to render the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Naman. A very, very heart-freshening and pleasant good morning to one and all. Changing dimensions of intellectual modernity always seeks updating of knowledge, and NEP 2020 thoroughly overhauled the system of education is a sincere and an honest headway towards this. Bangalore University is proud to organize this path-breaking 5-day webinar comprising of luminaries, academics, policy makers, and students community. The university is highly obliged and gratefully acknowledge the gracious presence and inaugural address of Dr. Shian Ashwath Narayan, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister and Minister for Higher Education, Government of Karnataka, for his visionary and enlightening thoughts. Sir is the youngest Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, who is extremely quick in adopting and implementing the national and international educational reforms. And this webinar is also an outcome of his personality. I deem it a great privilege to thank him on behalf of Bangalore University and all the August gathering present here. Thank you. Another dignitary and a great academician, Professor D.P. Singh, Chairman, UGC Grants Commission, for his thought-provoking and highly motivating presentation of the mission and the message of NEP 2020 through his elaborate keynote address on behalf of Bangalore University, and all of us here. I'd like to thank you, sir. Thank you very much. May I have the privilege of thanking the Vice Chairman, UGC Grants Commission, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, for having graced the occasion and adding insights on the NEP 2020 as well as its relevance. On behalf of Bangalore University and all of us, I would like to greatly thank you, sir, and thank you once again. Professor Venugopal K.R., the most committed Honorable Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University, is known for his dynamism and untiring personality, who works 24/7. That is his work culture. But he is a leading expert and a leader who has the first in the state to take up this webinar on the NEP 2020. And he monitors everything very minutely to put things to perfection. He has added a meaningful and highly significant analysis of NEP 2020 by presiding over this function. My sincere and wholehearted thanks to you, sir, on behalf of Bangalore University and all of us here, as well as our thank you very much.
Thank you.
I feel it my great privilege to thank so many learned academics from all over the country who are present today and attended this national webinar on National Education Policy 2020 organized by Bangalore University. I may not be in a position to name all the dignitaries who are present here. However, I would like to thank all our former Vice Siddhappa, our syndicate members, deans, chairmen, professors, scholars, and students, as well as the non-teaching staff of Bangalore University for their great support and gracious presence. I'll be failing in my duty if I do not acknowledge the great efforts put in by the technical team, as well as the coordinators, especially Dr. Wahini and Dr. Satish Gowda, along with their associates in making this program happen. And my thanks are due to the media present and all who are involved in this webinar on this occasion. Thank you all on my personal behalf, as well as on behalf of Bangalore University and on behalf of our Honorable Vice Chancellor. Once again, I thank one and all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you very much, madam. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now with this, we formally come to the end of the inaugural session. But as I already said, I repeat, the show has just begun, and now we will be moving into the technical session. And without further ado, let me take this privilege to welcome the program coordinator, the coordinator of Electronic Media Department, Bangalore University, Dr. Wahini Madam, to render the welcome address.
A very good morning to all the dignitaries, academicians, researchers, students, parents, and everyone present here. Education is important foundation for social, economic, and political reforms. It is a key catalyst to build equitable and inclusive society. NEP 2020 is the first education policy of 21st century, provides comprehensive framework for education, for early childhood education to higher education. We at Bangalore University, with the objective of looking at highlights and implementation through the deliberation and discussion by the academic luminaries to reach all the stakeholders, organized 5 days workshop. We have successfully completed the inaugural session. We are now at first session of the workshop. Today's theme is transformational education. To provide insight into this theme, we have with us a dedicated, disciplined teacher, administrator, academician, and researcher, Professor K. Siddhappa sir, a former Vice Chancellor, Bangalore University. I extend very warm welcome to Professor K. Siddhappa sir. We have with us Professor Geeta Ramanujam, founder and academic director of GR Education Institutions, Bangalore. I extend very warm welcome to Madam Professor Geeta Ramanujam. It is my pleasure to welcome our Vice Chancellor, who is going to preside this session, who is instrumental in planning and executing this workshop. I welcome you, sir. I welcome all the resource persons who
Another take over.
Of our university and other universities, teachers, students, parents, and all who have gathered here. I welcome all virtual gathering here. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for the welcome address. Now I would like to take this opportunity. I consider it as my proud privilege to introduce Professor K. Siddhappa sir, former Vice Chancellor, Bangalore University, to this august gathering. Dr. K. Siddhappa sir is a well-known teacher, outstanding scientist with international reputation and dynamic administrative leader. He obtained his MSc degree in physics with distinction from Mysore University and PhD in nuclear physics from Andhra University. He has served in physics faculty of Mysore University and Bangalore University for 33 years respectively. Dr. Siddhappa sir, as a professor and chairman of physics department of Bangalore University, has introduced a number of innovative and new relevant courses for MSc students and taught these courses in an exemplary way. He conducted research in several important areas of nuclear physics and radiation physics. As a founder director of Microtron Center Electron Accelerator Facility with sophisticated infrastructure, which has been used in prominent educational institutions such as BARC, ISRO, IISc, CAT, Indore, IIT, Chennai, BECC, Kolkata, SIT, Delhi, and a host of universities and electronic universities from Bangalore, Baroda, and across the country. Dr. Siddhappa has guided a number of PhD scholars and published more than 300 research papers in national and international peer-revised journal of repute. He has visited various countries as a visiting professor and as a visiting scientist. Professor Siddhappa has served as the member of governing council and governing bodies of various prominent educational institutions across the nation. As a Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University during 1999 to 2002, Professor Siddhappa has been a recipient of a number of national and international awards, from UGC National Associateship to American Prestigious Society Awards. He was awarded Sir M. Visvesvaraya Senior Scientist Award from Karnataka State Council for Science and Technology in 2011 for his lifetime significant contribution to science. Dr. Siddhappa as a Honorary Director of JSS Foundation for Science and Society, and now as President of Karnataka Association for Advancement of Science. is engaged in strengthening science education at all levels in taking fruits of science to the society. With this, without further ado, I'd like to take this absolute privilege to hand over the floor to Sir. So over to you.
Namaste, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Raman, for your nice words of introduction. Professor Venugopal, Professor Dr. Geeta Ramanujan, my esteemed colleagues, and luminaries from various disciplines and all the former vice chancellors, and more importantly, my student friends. It is indeed very nice that I was able to amidst you today for this very important webinar. In fact, it was really a very encouraging, motivating words from Honorable Deputy CM and Higher Education Minister, who has really inspired all the stakeholders of the state as far as NEP is concerned. And equally importantly, Dr. D.P. Singh has provided a very beautiful bird's eye view of the NEP 2020, and our esteemed Deputy, Vice Chairman Dr. Patwardhanji has also given us a wonderful address, and my very special compliments to all these people, and particularly to Professor Venugopal, who has played a very pivotal role in organizing this very important webinar and collected very wonderful resource persons from different universities and spheres as well. Now we have listened adequately, and probably everybody knows about the NEP 2020 and its run. One thing that I would like to mention is the wonderful effort made by Dr. Kasturi Rangan as chairman of the draft committee of this new policy, which was ably supported by as many as 8 honorable members. I'm very happy, particularly happy, that one of our Bangalore University, my former colleague, Dr. Sridhar, also has contributed immensely for this NEP 2020 as a member of the drafts committee. It is a compliment to Bangalore University and the state of Karnataka that two are there in the draft committee. One is the leader and another is the contributor from Karnataka and Bangalore. Okay, my special compliments to both of them for providing us this wonderful, very meaningful, and NEP with great vision, probably for the first time in the country in a different fashion altogether. As both chairman and vice chairman of UGC were mentioning, this is totally student-centric policy. And as the vision itself says, will you please arrange the sharing of my screen, please?
So you are allowed to share, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes. Next. It takes so much time. Sorry for the delay and inconvenience. Well, this policy, NEP 2020, has come after nearly 3.5 decades since the previous policy. So a lot of changes have taken place, a lot of reforms have been made in different countries all over the world, and probably India, which was, what is happening? Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience.
ಅದಿನ್ನ ಇದಾಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತಲ್ವಾ?
It is there.
Okay. As highlighted by our honorable chairman of the UGC, as well as vice chairman, it has got a very tall vision and objective, the new education policy. To put it in the words of the draft team, it reads like this. To instill policy aims to instill in learners a pride in being Indian in thought and spirit, intellect and deeds, and to develop knowledge, skills, values, and dispositions that support commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living, and global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. In other words, a holistic personality, Vishwa Manava, as in the words of Rabindranath Tagore and our great poet laureate Kuvempu. Well, how this tall objective could be realized. In fact, the speciality of this one is the basic principle and philosophy on which this new policy has been crafted is something very unique. It is like this, right? One of the basic principles is full equity and inclusion of all students. This was there early in all our earlier policies since independence, but here there is a difference. Not only inclusion, but quality education is a must. They are recognizing, and so many principles are there involved. Recognizing, identifying, and fostering the capabilities of each student is another important aspect. And then achieving fundamental literacy and numeracy by all students by grade 3. That is, there is a lot of emphasis on foundation courses of our education. Then flexibility in choosing learning subjects, trajectories, and programs. A truly multidisciplinary and holistic approach is another basic principle. Then emphasis on conceptual understanding, creativity, and critical thinking, as well as life skills, ethics, and values, both of individual personality and the constitutional values. Then promoting, why it is not coming?
ಹ್ಯಾಂಗ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಇರಿ. ಯಾವ್ದು ಇದು
Sorry, there is some problem with these slides.
ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇದು ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಅದು ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಹ್ಯಾಂಗ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಆ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡ್ ಮರಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಹಾಕೋಣ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಹ್ಯಾಂಗ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಆ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಐಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ? ಫೋನ್ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡಿ, ಐಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲ.
Hello.
ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಬೇರೆ.
Some of my computer system has got hanged up. What can I do? Mr. Naman?
Sir,
I'm
please
here.
go ahead with your presentation. Meanwhile, ask somebody to send the presentation to one of us, sir. So we can share from here. WhatsApp, ask him WhatsApp.
Email ಮಾಡಿಯಪ್ಪ, ನಾನು ಅವತ್ತೇ ನಿನ್ನೆ ಆಗ್ಲೇನೆ. Please email that one to.
They can WhatsApp to us, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
WhatsApp ಕಳಿಸಿ ಇಲ್ಲದಿದ್ರೆ.
WhatsApp ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ.
ಹಾಕಿ.
Sir, if I may add on, ಒಂದ್ಸಲಿ screen share stop ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತೆ reshare ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡಿ, sir.
Yes, what to do?
Stop the screen share, madam, and try resharing it again. Meanwhile, try sending it to us on WhatsApp also.
Okay.
So we can send it as soon as possible.
ನೋಡ್ರಿ, ಇವಾಗ ನೋಡ್ರಿ.
Madam, screen share stop ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡಿ.
I already stopped.
No, ma'am, it's still reflecting on our screens.
Oh, it is hanged. I cannot.
WhatsApp
Yeah.
So kindly send it off to us, sir, so we can present it here. Yeah.
Padma is there?
Yari Kalsi.
Padma Kalsi, Satish Gauda Kalsi.
Sir, you carry on, sir. We will do it meanwhile.
Yeah. So, yeah, like that, very, very sound principles are followed in drafting this policy. And as a consequence, it has become possible to make so many wonderful transformations and changes. For example, for the existing focus on access and equity, the new policy envisages not only this equity and access, but along with that, universal, compulsory, and quality free education up to 12th standard. It is a wonderful opportunity for all to have equity. Yes. Is it possible now? Going? Then,
No, sir.
Secondly, hello?
They will share it.
So continue with your presentation, sir. We will screen share it for you.
Send it to Satish Gauda and Padma.
Sure, ma'am. We will get in touch with them.
Okay.
Please look into that. And then instead of the existing rigidity in learning trajectories and programs, now the new education policy envisages flexibility in learning trajectories and programs in a major change. Then next, the existing situation of not focusing on holistic and multidisciplinary education. Here, the focus is on holistic and multidisciplinary education. Then learning for exams in a rotary way was the present situation, but now the new policy emphasizes on conceptual understanding and critical thinking. And so far, no emphasis was there on creativity and problem solving, but the new policy envisages emphasis on creativity, resilient thinking, critical thinking, and problem solving approach. Could you receive the...
Yeah, I already sent it to them.
Hello, Satish Gauda Keri and Padma, both we have sent. Padma is there? Satish Gauda, Aurelva?
Sir, we are arranging it, sir. Please go ahead. We will do it in a few minutes.
ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಈ ತರ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಹೋದ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ
And then the present system of our education is such that there is no emphasis at all on life skills, communication, teamwork, and cooperation and resilience. And all these things have been very well taken care of in the new education policy, because these are extremely important, not only for individual, but also from the point of view of contributing what the citizens, the educated graduates, to the economy and development of the nation as a whole. So country's interest is also taken care of. And then inadequate use of technology was another major problem. With all the advances in IT and all that, still we were lagging behind. The last 1 or 2 months, there are a lot of efforts being made, and new education policy emphasizes in a very major way the technology development. Then multilingualism and mother tongue were in a way neglected so far, but now promoting multilingualism and mother tongue is the basic change, transformation and also the use of local language. And then there is no focus on ethics. Focus on ethics and human values is the major achievement of the new education policy. Well, similarly, there was no synergy at all in curriculum across all levels of education. Normally, high school teachers used to blame primary school teachers, university teachers used to blame all degree and earlier best students, whereas now the situation is different. And then there was no scope so far for continuous professional development of teachers in particular, but now a lot of emphasis has been laid on continuous professional development of the teaching community. Then inadequate positive working environment was prevailing so far, and service conditions of teachers were not at the desired level. Now, emphasis has been laid so much on positive working environment and service conditions of teachers. So there are so many important transformations, and in addition to that, there is so much focus on our ancient and modern culture and traditions, which was totally missing in our earlier system of education. And there is emphasis on substantial investment. Earlier, although all these years, the concerned authorities used to say that 6% of our GDP has to be invested in education. So far, at no point of time that was done. But let us hope this time, because the policy stresses so much on adequate investment for education, it will be realized and all that. Then there is encouragement in such. There was not much participation of philanthropic and public community. And now there is so much encouragement to such participation in the new education policy. I think. Change. Next. Go fast. Hogi. Change. Wait. Let it be there. Let this be here. Let this be here.
Go back.
So in order to realize this, stable.
Okay.
In order to realize these objectives and all that, one has to change the structure, changes or transformations in structural arrangement. Now, the existing structure of our school education particularly was this one, previous academic one, and from 6 to 16 there was a primary section, and from then 16 to 18 the secondary education. So the primary and secondary were very broadly classified, and up to 6 years, some Anganwadi, some used to attend and all that. It was not at all compulsory or mandatory. Up to 6 years, most of our kids never used to worry about learning anything, not necessarily textbook one, even other things. So now there is so much emphasis on the foundation course. Particularly, you can see this foundation course goes for 5 years and 2 years of preparatory this one. So it was a wonderful arrangement as far as foundation, laying very good foundation to our students was concerned. And then from class 3 to 3, that is between the age group 3 to 11, 8 to 11, the primary education has been designed in such a way that they will learn in an altogether different environment in the primary school. And in the middle level, from classes 6 to 16, that is corresponding to the ages 11 to 14, the students will be equipped with so much of knowledge through not only the textbooks with appropriate curriculum and all that, but even with other means of providing education. Then at the secondary level, that is from class 9 to 12, 9, 10, 11, 12, corresponding to age from 14 to 18, we have a very wonderful, by then the students would have been geared up in a big way to go to the higher level of education with critical thinking and things like that. Next slide, please. Next one. Yeah. Well, the very significant factor of higher education is not only it has given vision and objectives and things like that, but it has also given a complete roadmap. Complete roadmap means from end-to-end roadmap, which no other policy so far have provided. And this roadmap is both for long-term goals as well as for short-term goals. The long-term goals being the prevailing system of affiliation of colleges to universities to go in phases. This is one of the biggest handicap in our education system, the affiliation system. And this has to be given a goodbye in not immediately, but in phased manner, but with appropriate, each phase in an appropriate manner, there is a different approach. For example, well-performing, good and viable colleges will be made immediately autonomous. Already so many of our colleges have become autonomous. And now the next step will be these autonomous colleges will be given degree-giving institutions, and then they will be converted into universities. The process has already begun actually. Many of our institutions which have become autonomous, they are being converted into universities both in the public sector and private sector. And then the tiny and unviable colleges would be integrated into universities, other autonomous and degree-giving higher educational institutions. So these higher educational institutions, every higher education institution is destined to become a viable college with a minimum of 3,000 students in each one of these HEIs. Then depending on the strength of HEIs, one could choose teaching or research or both to excel in the chosen category. If there is multidisciplinary institution and the NUP envisages, or as far as possible, all institutions should become multidisciplinary. Institutions means including universities, and depending on the strength of the teaching faculty, infrastructure and other things, they could choose either focusing only on teaching or focusing on research or both to excel in any one or in both the chosen category. These phases of conversion will be have to be completed, say, in about 10 to 15 years. So in 10 to 15 years, affiliation system is to be removed completely. And then the prevailing system of affiliation of colleges, okay, will go in phases. Sorry, next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. Similarly, roadmap has also been given for regulation of higher education by a CEO. There is one slide is missing. Go to the previous short term. Yeah, short-term goals. Leading colleges. Okay, this is over. Next one. Okay. Then another important feature of this one is higher education roadmap for regulation. Now there are so many regulatory bodies, and they aimed to achieve so much, but were not able to achieve anything so far. Regulatory has become a problematic issue for very good colleges if they want to excel. So this regulation of higher education, instead of so many bodies, is to be reserved with a single regular establishment of Higher Education Council of India, HECI. The undergraduate degree will be either 3, and then another important feature of the new policy is the undergraduate degree will be either of 3 years or 4 years, that is flexible program of 4 years. Some can leave at the end of 3 years, those who get the job or who are in dire need of a job and all that, but they can continue for 4th year if they want to continue higher studies and go to research. And then students of degree with research 4 years can have a 1-year master's program instead of 2 years. And alternatively, those with 3 years degree, they can at some point of time, if they want to do MSc, they can join and have 3-year MSc program. And then a 5-year integrated bachelor master's program, that is combined integrated program, could also be introduced. And many universities had introduced, and now those programs will be strengthened in a major way in the new system of education policy. Next one. Next slide, please. Yeah. Then National Education Policy has recommended establishment of single apex body HECA to regulate all aspects. This apex body, how it will function to do everything by single one. It will have 4 wings or 4 distinct, for each one of these 4 distinct functions, and you may call them as 4 verticals of this HECI. And they are the National Higher Education Regulatory Council, NHERC, National Accreditation Council, NAC, about which Karnataka in particular and Bangalore University even more particularly is aware that because NAC is already there in our campus only. Then Higher Education Grants Council, University Grants Commission used to be there, but it used to do so many other functions also. But now each one will have a specific role and responsibility to play. Higher Education Grants Council is going to be another vertical of HECI, and then there is, in addition to that, General Education Council, GEC, is the 4th vertical. So each one has specific responsibilities and functions, and with all these things, the supervising body is HECI. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next. Okay. Well, other important highlights of this NEP has been MHRD is actively, how to implement successfully. So that there were other things, but anyway, let me stop at this. Maybe time is getting shorter. MHRD, I'm very happy to know, and all others also will be very happy to know, MHRD is actively engaged already in making all the necessary preparation to start implementing the NEP come in full swing from the academic year 2021-22. That is next academic year. And then a right attitude, what is the other requirement? Preparation is one thing. And then another important thing is a right attitude and coherence among all 4 verticals of HECI and between the various, between the various bodies of higher education system is a must for its successful implementation. And in order to also empower the teachers in a major way who constitute the pillars of this change or a transformation, a national mission for mentoring teachers as well as managers, management personnels, and also up to the various levels of educational system. A national mission for mentoring shall be established with a large pool of outstanding senior retired faculty. And the process has already been initiated. And then the Advisory Board of Education of Karnataka. In fact, Karnataka, as Professor Venugopal and the Honorable Minister were telling, wants to be the first in implementing the new education policy completely and also successfully. So what they have done is, in addition to the two primary and secondary departments of education and higher education department of education, and in addition to Higher Education Council of India, the government has also constituted a cabinet rank advisor for the education. And this, under his leadership, an advisory board for education of Karnataka has been created, and it has recommended to the state government to introduce mentoring at all levels of education. And this recommendation was sent, I am a member of that committee, and this recommendation to the government was sent 2 months before the new education policy saw the light of the day. That means Karnataka government is very keen to implement the new education policy in letter and spirit and in full form at the earliest. This is making all necessary. And the Karnataka Association for the Advancement of Science, for which I am the president now, has got an excellent pool of senior teachers of Bangalore University, IISc, and other very prestigious institutions, higher education institutions, both in Bangalore and from elsewhere. And they are all like members. And they, for the last 40 years, this CAS has been doing a tremendous job, in particularly in Bangalore. These CAS, with all these pool of excellent senior teachers, has decided to participate in the mentoring of teachers and the management in the state and has taken up already the task. And the very innovative modules are being prepared, and in about a week or fortnight, these models will be completely ready, and probably Bangalore University will also be the first to have a separate workshop for this webinar on mentoring system. Okay, mentoring will be done both for the teachers, and then for the HODs, and then for the administrators, and of course for the students also, how they mentees should be, what kind of an attitude and this, that, and all they should possess, and all that will be dealt with in a scientific and systematic and innovative way. And I look forward for that kind of a thing. Next slide, please. Well, what is this mentoring? Why we are actually bothered so much about this mentoring? Mentoring is something one can develop the personality in a major way, which is the main objective of the new education policy. The holistic personality with creative thinking and everything is going to contribute immensely for the sustainable development of the nation. Next slide, please. Next slide. Another 2 minutes I will take. And India was very well known for the mentoring. In fact, Takshashila and Nalanda universities are quoted by almost all speakers during the inaugural session proceedings. And Takshashila and Nalanda were not only the first universities in the civilization of the world, but they also happened to be the first world-class universities in the civilization. And the mentoring was there right from those days. For example, Chanakya mentored Chandragupta Maurya to establish a big empire. And because of that kind of a mentoring, very useful, wonderful, basic discoveries and inventions were pursued both in Takshashila University and subsequently Nalanda University for nearly 1,000 years. In fact, there was so much knowledge, treasure of knowledge was created for the world civilization that in the modern times, one of the greatest scientists, Albert Einstein, has quoted on one occasion saying that I quote, I have greatest regard for India and the Indian people. Firstly, for the treasure of traditional knowledge they have given to the world civilization. And secondly, for their contribution of number system, without which none of the discoveries and inventions would have been possible. Well, there were so many illustrious contributors for this treasure of traditional knowledge that most of them were either from Takshashila University or subsequently from Nalanda University. For example, number system was invented by Nalanda University thinkers like Aryabhatta and his team. And today, without that number system, not only no discoveries and inventions, our very IT, information technology revolution, would not have become possible. So all this has taken place. How? Because of the role played by the mentors. And similarly, our Karnataka was having many great mentors. Basavanna was a great mentor. Harihara for establishment of Vijayanagara Empire, Vidyaranya was the mentor, and for Akkaraya and Bukkaraya. And similarly, in the modern times also, there were so many mentors. So India has a rich tradition of mentors. So I will take 1 or 2 minutes to tell briefly about next 1 or 2 slides about the mentoring. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, mentoring means this. It manages the relationship, it encourages, it nurtures, it teaches, it offers mutual respect, and then it responds to the mentee's needs, motivates in a big way. Okay, next one. Well, what are the arts and science of mentoring? One basic thing is attitude. And another important thing is knowledge. And one more important skill. So these three constitutes the 3 verticals of one's abilities. If you have these things, one can reach any great height. Next one. Well, mentorship skill means it is skills required both by mentor as well as by mentee. Together, they become mentorship skills. Next one. Well, attitude is the major thing because what kind of a mindset, what kind of a cultural background, what kind of a personality, all these things constitute attitude. In fact, if one wants to implement the NEP, National Education Policy 2020, most important thing, one of the most important thing, critically, is attitude. In fact, what actually attitude? They are normally, I say this whenever I talk about the attitude. You know, once there were three ants were there, and they saw an elephant coming. You know, ants and elephants. And these ants were so were so brave and all that, and what kind of a great attitude they have is, one ant says, oh, look here, that elephant is coming. I will kill it, it says. The second ant says, no, I will break his legs. But the third one says, look here, we are 3 and he is only 1. So why to bother? Forgive him and let him go. Don't worry. See, that means each one, the attitude of each one of these 3 ants is something unique. Unique means unique. And the last ant says, he is 1, however tall he is 1, we are 3. So whatever the tall objectives of the new education policy is there, however difficult it is, and difficult to implement and all that. If all of us work together with this kind of an attitude, we are so many, not one, not just Vice Chancellor, all the faculty of the university, all the administration helpers, administrators helping the Vice Chancellor, and all the students put together can achieve wonderful things. Similarly, all the universities in the country, all the management people, all the administrators, all the state governments, central governments, when all these things are there, when they become very strong, so the new education policy can be implemented without any difficulty at all. So those who have got any doubts about implementation of all the objectives to be realized, one can definitely feel confident by taking this example of ants. And what is most important is attitude, mindset. Well, come on, can do it attitude will change. And the next one, well, the benefits of mentoring are so many. Increases motivation, specific needs will be met with friendly manner, in a friendly manner, new perspectives will be there, innovation can happen, improved confidence will be there, then fast-tracked learning can take place, and everything together constitutes the various benefits and make one a holistic personality. Next one. Yeah, and CAS will undertake this mission of mentoring the institutes, the faculty, the administrators, and everybody in a major way. And this has been already communicated.
I think there's a small technical glitch.
Education policy, particularly Professor Venugopal and all the organizers of the webinar. And it was a wonderful opportunity also to listen to UGC chairman, vice chairman, and our honorable minister, and see also the Professor Venugopal's and his team's enthusiasm about the new education policy and its successful implementation. Wish all the best for the seminar and for the university. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Very well said, sir. Your enlightening lecture was very useful. I think people will be benefited about whatever you have said, and we will take it forward. Now, Geeta Ramanujam, Raman.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Siddhappa sir, for your elaborate elucidation. Now, without further ado, I'd like to take this proud privilege to introduce Dr. Geeta Ramanujan, ma'am. Madam is the academic director of GR Educational Institution, a multi-faceted personality. She is not only an acclaimed educationist, but also an award-winning playwright and director, recognized public speaker, and renowned philosopher. Vidyadharani title for contribution to education, DVG Award for literary contribution, Artist of the Year, Bangalore, Gyana Samaja, Santa Tyagaraja Muttuswamy, Dikshitar, Shama Shastri, as well as Madhavacharya as a reformed Indian, UNESCO recognition for education through theatre, 5-state Nataka Academy recognition as a playwright and direction. Prestigious Gargi Prashasti was awarded to Madam. She was awarded Woman of Substance by Rotary Bangalore, Kannada Rajyotsava Award given by the Newspapers Association of Karnataka for her service in the field of education. Singapore Kannada Sangha to give lectures on theatre. London Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan sponsored by Infosys Foundation. She's been invited there to deliver lectures on culture, music and heritage. Northwest University of California, United States of America, presided and to present papers on Buddhism science in 8th International Conference. She is the first woman to write for 45 consecutive days in Kannada Prabha Dharma Jyoti column on spirituality and life, apart from her contribution to various dailies and weekly journals in Kannada and English. Nominated from Karnataka Social Welfare Board to represent role of women in governance, and 33% reservation for women at National Summit Delhi in the presence of the Honorable Prime Minister. Her profile of achiever struggle was compiled and published among 30 women achievers of Karnataka under the title Gari, which includes great achievers like Gangoi Hanagal, Sudhamurthy Madam, and Kiran Majumdar Madam. She presented her thoughts along with eminent speakers from 50 countries at the session at New Delhi with dignitaries and honorable ministers like Srimati Nirmala Sitaraman Ma'am, Srimati Kiran Bedi Ma'am, Srimati Smriti Irani Ma'am at the World Hindu Women Congress. And she was recognized at the session to take her thought mission to overseas. Without further ado, I consider it as my absolute privilege to hand over the floor to Madam. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, my dear. And at the outset, I thank our Vice Chancellor, Professor K.C. Venugopal, sir. And also, I'm very fortunate to listen to the inaugural address of the eminent personalities. And I'm very really deemed as this particular opportunity to really give my thoughts to this national policy NEP 2020. I feel that I just start with the Swami Vivekananda's quote, which is very important. You should not depend on any foreign help, be it a nation or be it an individual. You should do it by yourself, or country should do it by itself. This is the true patriotism. This type of education is needed. A nation has to give this type of education. If it cannot give, I think it has to wait. And when the time comes, it has to give. But it has to wait. This is what Swami Vivekananda has allowed us. I think we have waited after 34 years. The time has
Excuse
come.
me, madam. Ma'am, I beg your pardon to be interfering, ma'am, but also your voice is echoing and there is clutter and there's no clarity. Our apologies, ma'am, to be interfering, but if that could be fixed at the earliest, we shall be ever grateful.
Yes, hello. Now is it okay? Now is it okay?
Ma'am, better, ma'am. Ma'am, what would be
Okay, madam, it is
advisable
okay.
is
Please
if you can plug in earplugs. I think that would be the need of the our. I think there's some issues with the speaker or your voice interceptors. With my limited knowledge, this is what I think is the problem. If there is a headphone or something, I think it should solve the situation.
Dr. Geeta Ramanujam, you can use the earphone.
Hello, I don't have earplug here, but can I speak? Hello, sir, Professor, sir.
Yeah, try to speak and meanwhile try to use
Are you able to hear me? Yeah, I'm using my phone.
No, ma'am. We meant earplugs, ma'am. Earplugs.
Earplug illa. I have come somewhere from there only. I'm doing this virtual this one.
Okay.
I told. Please. Shall I take the phone?
Ma'am, Vice
Shall I
Chancellor,
take the phone, please?
Sure, ma'am.
Hello?
Vice Chancellor, sir?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm there.
Sir, madam, if she can turn off her video, I think that way voice can improvise. That is one way we can try.
Yeah.
Madam, now if you may.
Shall I?
Yes, ma'am. Better, ma'am.
Now am I clear?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, before you begin, ladies and gentlemen, sirs and ma'ams, I request all of you all to turn off your videos so that the data productivity will be more and madam's clarity will be there. So I see that some ladies and gentlemen have your videos turned on. Kindly switch off so that we can hear the audio in a much better way. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, my dear. Yeah, thank you. See, I'll start from the beginning. See, our National Education Policy, NEP 2020, I think it's a wholeheartedly welcome policy. And particularly, which is a student-friendly and teachers' involvement friendly. I think as an educator, for last 50 years, I welcome this policy on behalf of the country and on behalf of the students. Let us remind this Swami Vivekananda's quote. You should not depend on any foreign help, be it a nation or be it an individual. You should or they should do it, everything on themselves or by self. This is real patriotism. This is the education we have to give. But what happens here is the nation has to give this type of education. If nation has not given, it has to wait till the time comes. I think now the time has come. What Swami Vivekananda has told, the time has come. And now our Prime Minister Modi ji has awakened us, and he is asking us to rise, and is asking us to realize what is real education is. Is it a person making or is it a man making? See, what I'm telling is NEP policy is something which is touching the segments, the areas which we have taken it for granted, which we have constructed only formally, and we have not gone into the concept built depth. I think if we read the NEP policy, I think everybody has got this policy. But how it is a transformational policy, I want to throw light on this. The first 5 years of the child's fertile development of the brain was unorganized, and it was not given the real organized touch or the cultural touch or the touch which can help the fertile brain to grow. I think the first thing we have to congratulate this policy is that the first 5 years of the child's early education, right from the pre-nursery, first LKG, UKG, first standard and second standard. This 5 years, now it is going to be structured as our ancient India was giving the Gurukula type of education, where they were trying to give the personality-oriented education for life and not just for living. Today, research, I think from this stage it starts, what the child is interested in, what the child has got the attitude, how it is able to think. It's not what to think, how to think is developed in NEP policy. This is how the curriculum is going to be framed. It is not only national curriculum, it includes even the regional curriculum, state curriculum, and gives the holistic approach to syllabus. And this is where our challenge lies, and in making the child the potential in the early age itself. Research mind doesn't come at the age of 25. The research mind starts at the early age. What is this? Why is this? How is this? These questions have to be given to children to ask all these things. So that is why the curriculum structure, I know very well, I have gone through this, what the really preamble aspect our Dr. Kasturi Rangan has taken care of, and I was worried always, the education is what we want, we are imposing, and not like what child wants, what the students want, what the student likes, we are not giving. Here even parents have to be educated under NEP education policy. Is the parents are the important stakeholders where we have to educate them. It is the student-oriented education of our ancient India that we are going to include. See, even when Pandavas and Kauravas were under Dronacharya, a single guru, I think everybody was given their share of education. One is the Shastra Vidya Abhyasa, one is Dhanur Vidya, one is like that. We never had everything to one person, but the life education was given to everybody. That is what we have to give. It is the culture interwoven philosophical approach to education has been built in this NEP policy. Mahatma Gandhi told that we want a revolutionary education which can really satisfy the wants of the last person of the poorest villager instead of meeting the wants of the imperial exploiters. Gandhiji was telling. So now after that it's a 6th standard. We don't think about something what we all have after our medical course, after our engineering course. It is hands-on experience, skill-based education, and then culture, sports, arts, theater, music, in everything. I think they should have this say. They should have the participation. They should have something to bring out their insight to this. See, this is how this NEP is a futuristic vision it has got. Research mind, it develops from there. If the child is interested in string instrument or in music or in sports, it need not have to study science. It can study, it can take the other subject. So here there is no imposition of subjects. Now there is no compartmentalized education. There is no imposed education. There is no marks card alone education. It is not just job-oriented education. It is the personality evolving education. If we could really understand NEP policy properly, whatever Modi ji is telling, Atmanirbharata. See, that is what it is. Atmaiva Atmano Bandhuhu. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Atmaiva Atmano Bandhuhu. Atmaiva Rikuratmanaha. Uddared Atmanatmanam. Atmanam Avasade. This one particular thing from Bhagavad Gita can stand for the NEP policy and what our Prime Minister is dreaming, that our Bharat should become Atmanirbharata and every child should become Atmanirbharata and the country should be the guru for the world. This is, and it was once upon a time, Bharat was the guru for the whole world. Max Muller took all our Upanishads and Vedas to Germany and his translation today is what we are referring. That means our knowledge has been taken to the foreign land, but we have not taken. But when I talk about the languages, regional language is given importance, connect language, English is given importance, and third language is left to our choice, but still I feel there is in 14.3 that in NEP, I think they also say that if Sanskrit could be introduced to children at early age, it is really going to do wonderful thing, because I think we think that घर का मुर्गी दाल बराबर, that whatever we have, we don't want to think about it. Whatever comes from the West, we were very much attracted. It may be because of the Britishers' way or Macaulay education, all those things. How long can we go on giving excuses? And as Vivekananda has told that you must wait for the day for that change, and that change has come. And boldly that one nation, one education policy, and one curriculum, but the curriculum which can really include national and regional history or philosophy or the contribution to all other fields are all included in this. And another very important thing I would appreciate NEP policies. I think all the people who are listening, we have to thank this policy, because I have observed the students for the last 50 years from 9th standard to 12th standard. It is the very, very, very important phase of the student's life. Whatever you want to see, that is the bridge between what he is and what he wants to become. There is no question of segregation of science, arts, and commerce. I think interwoven education. Somebody was asking here in the question, how is it different from US? But whether it resembles US? Why should we really think about US? When we have Nalanda and Takshashila, the role model, when we have the Gurukula system where teachers were not only the mentors, but they were the life-giving people, and also they were the parents, and they were the preceptors, and they were the persuaders, and they were the giving the insight to the children and not anything else. I think now the challenge in the NEP education policy they have taken is two segments they are taken. One is the students and another one is teachers, which is very, very important today. We can make 101 policies, but this policy is very unique. In what way? Because you have asked transformational, because the teachers have been targeted here, and the education, that is a Bachelor of Education, that particular thing is taken as a 4 years thing, and the complete training will be given how to really reach out to student. I think information is not everything. As again I quote Swami Vivekananda, education should not become bundle of information. It should be the source of inspiration, and teachers have to be the transmitters to ignite or pass on the electricity and give the light to the students, so that they can become the light to the world of the society. This is what NEP has touched here. So they don't have parents, whether it's a child, student likes or not, they want them to take science, they want to take commerce, and now IAS has become another important thing. They simply come and say that they have to do arts because they have to take UPSC exam. Parents are not the person to decide in our NEP policy. This is very important. Parents have to support, teachers have to guide, and the curriculum has to help, and the student have to be the nucleus of the education. And when it comes to degree, wonderful it is, wonderful. Nobody is going to say that I am useless and I could not complete, I am uneducated, I am not a graduate, and that is how. And this is where the 1 year, if they complete, finished, one certificate is given, they can go for a job, they can do anything. Second year they come back, they finish, and they get really whatever the diploma they get. See, diploma is it is interwoven in the regular education. For diploma, they don't have to go to separate college. For certification, they don't have to go to separate college. For degree, they don't have to go to separate college, and they don't have to study whatever it is there, but whatever they like. I think that particular aspect have to be taken care of while implementing, because what are the subjects and how we are going to grow. I think already the groundwork has been done. Dr. Kasturi Rangan and their team, I think they have done wonderfully this, but in implementation, we have to understand very well, and each institution has got its own limitations, and we have to understand that limitation and come out of it and try to implement this in such a way that NEP policy becomes really fruitful and worthwhile. Because otherwise, there is no point in me talking about the text as it is, what the thing which can help us. Then fourth year is very important. Everybody was commenting or arguing with me. MPhil has been taken out. I think MPhil is the fourth year is there, and that fourth year is going to be the link for the PhD, or it is going to decide whether I have research mind, research attitude, or research ambition, or research insight. That's what I tell you. It has got intrinsic values embedded in the policy. Intrinsic values. This intrinsic value has to see. I think we have to develop an insight. If we develop an insight, it is not enough, but we have to implement. If we implement, it is not enough, we have to execute. If we execute, it is not enough, we have to explore. If we explore, it is not enough, we have to experience. That should be the thing this NEP policy has to give. And research, I tell you, today it is sold in the market, with the due apology to everybody, because even I am a PhD person, but still, it is because of we have made it mandatory for professorship, this, that, and all. I think research has become little, really it has taken the back seat. As far as my experience goes, I'm not just making a sweeping statement. There are many people who have come out with wonderful achievements, but still, this NEP will stop all those things. It is not that simply mechanically we do BEd, mechanically we do PhD for our professor, for our profession, for our increment, for our promotion. It cannot happen anymore. I think that is what is inherent in NEP policy. What is inherent in NEP policy is what I'm really sharing with you and what I have understood, because here it is student friendly and teachers commitment. Student friendly and teachers commitment. Teacher is definitely committed person, but what magnitude, in what altitude, how she has to commit is very important in all these things. And I feel that even vocational courses are included here, and all sports activities are included in the regular syllabus. I think there cannot be any holistic approach to education as much we have revived it today from the time of our ancient India. Ancient India, I think we were educated in a rustic environment with hardships, life, all those things, hands-on experience, everything they have to explore on their own. So only we got so many contributions, philosophers, scientists, and great personalities. And not that we are not giving today, but still better, I think, in great number we can give. There are, and moreover, this is another another important thing in NEP policy. They want to cover all the around 3 crores or something, I think, if the number, who have not come to the mainstream of education. Literacy and numeracy is important for every child, and that is what given more importance here in the early education, which can take them to the next level of education of their choice, and the next level of education at the graduation level, where they can really inculcate their insight and try to explore how much they can contribute. There is nothing like how much students can contribute. How much they have to learn is what we are giving. How much they have to learn we are giving. How much they have to memorize we are giving. Of course, 34 years back, since 34 years, there are so many changes, but all are connected to examining system, not the knowledge and wisdom oriented system. Everything is examine oriented. Child is examined. But today it is not like that. Grades, and it is not that we have to really, and board exams. I don't know, competitive exams, how we are going to rule out now, and there is going to be a different framework of thing, and whoever is competent in that field by 12th year, I think it is going to be decided, and there is going to be one personality analysis of the child to enter that field, and this is where it stands really very unique as far as the NEP policy is concerned. So we have to raise by ourselves. We are the potential for ourselves. We are the really person to know what we are, and we are the enemy for ourselves, and we are the friend for ourselves. Atmaiva Atmano Bandhuhu, and this is where what is capable by me, what is really liked by me, what I can do, how much I can do, is what the central theme of NEP policy. And I'm not going to touch higher education. I think many more eminent speakers are going to touch on various sessions on various days, but I'm only giving the transformational education which was not there and which is there. Early segment was unorganized and the higher segment was not cared. It was just for the sake of profession and also for the sake of designation. But today, it is not going to be like that. The implementation of this policy is very, very, very important, and we have to take care. But anything started, everything has got a beginning. I think once it has begun, I think it will begin well, and I think we will see the fruit of this. And definitely, all educational institution heads, teachers, everybody, we have to really educate the parents also fast. Here, parents becomes the important person, because I know the attitude of the parent. All that they want is they want education for living. But today, NEP policy is giving in education for life. Out of that, they have to make their living. This is what the unique feature of our NEP 2020 policy. I welcome, I congratulate the Central Education Ministry. I really welcome and I really salute our Prime Minister Modi ji. And I also thank profusely our Vice Chancellor, Professor Venugopal sir, who has taken all the pains to really see that this NEP is understood very well by the institutions and also the teachers, parents, and really this has to be made very clear to students. It is student friendly, it has got a vision for students, for their futuristic life, it's got the nation building education policy. And I think this is how we all have to welcome this, and I welcome wholeheartedly. Thanking you. I just try to end my speech here.
Thank you, madam. Very
Are
well.
there any questions?
Questions will be there,
Thank
but
you,
after
thank you, sir.
I conclude, I think there will be questions for you and Professor Siddhappa.
Yes.
Thank you very much, madam, for that erudition and for speaking. And since so much, there was so much reference made to Sanskrit, so much reference made to Bharat, and so much reference made to Vishwaguru. It reminds me of a quote in Sanskrit: "Sangachatvam samvattatvam samavo manasmi janatam deva bhagam yata purve sananjanana upasate which means let us move in harmony, let us speak in one voice, let our minds be in agreement, just as the ancient gods shared their portion of sacrifice to promote world harmony. I think the NEP is going to impart that education, which is going to take India and make India the advocates of peace and harmony to the globe. Without further ado, now I'd like to call upon our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Dr. K.R. Venugopal, Sir, to render the presidential address.
So thank you, Naman. In fact, I've been listening for the last 3 hours from the Deputy Chief Minister's delivery of inaugural address, then our chairman, UGC chairman, Professor D.P. Singh, and our vice chairman, Bhushan Patwardhan, then Professor K. Siddappaji, and now Geeta Ramanujam Madam. It has been really thrilling for me to sit for 3 hours and listen to all these great stalwarts who are in the forefront of drawing a new roadmap to Indian education system. As I have told you that the Macaulay myth of 1835, now this is 2020. That means 185 years it has taken for us to have a new paradigm, a shift from the policy of national education. How are we seeing this policy? For example, we have not changed the learning schedule or the number of years the student has to put in to complete the elementary education, that is up to 12th standard, first standard to 12th standard. What we have done here is we have included the preschool, the UKG and LKG. The UKG, preschool, UKG and LKG were not given that type of emphasis earlier, and that's what we have seen in the present new education policy. Now, the second thing is the formative ages, that is first as third standard to fifth standard, between the ages 8 to 11, we are having a preparatory school, and classes 6 to 8, between ages 11 to 14, it is a middle school, and the secondary school is from 9th standard, 10th standard, 11th standard, and 12th standard, between ages 14 and 18. So what is the difference which you are seeing? The difference we are seeing is in the last stage and the first stage. Whereas the preschool, UKG, LKG, we are seeing now emphasis being placed. And in the final stages, that is 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, we are seeing a different routine. That is inculcating skill-based education for 9, 10, 11, and 12. The National Education Policy provides comprehensive framework for school education. One of the essentially and fundamental change proposed is early childhood education, ECCE. The policy says that over 85% of the child's cumulative brain development occurs prior to the age of 6, indicating the critical importance of appropriate care and stimulation of the brain in earlier years. Keeping this in mind, the policy proposes to integrate formal schooling pattern at the age of 3 instead of 5. First 5 years, including the present first and second standard, constitutes the fundamental stage of or foundational stage of education. This will be followed by 3 to 5, that is 3 years, 6 to 8, again 3 years, 9 to 12, 4 years. This chain, that is 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, replaces 10 by 10 plus 2. That 10 plus 2 did not include preschool, UKG and LKG. Now preschool, UKG and LKG have been integrated into the primary education. This is proposed to provide necessary developmental needs at all stages of their physical, mental, emotional, and psychological development. The national curriculum and pedagogical framework from early childhood care and education that is NCPF ECCE, will be developed by the National Council of Educational Research. Educational research, are you able to hear? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Developed by the National Council of Educational Research, that is NCRT. The policy has given special emphasis to holistic, experiential, integrative, and enjoyable learning. It does not make distinction between curricular and extracurricular activities. It proposes cross-curricular pedagogical approach. There is flexibility in course choices. The free breakfast being added to free lunches in government schools, vocational education, along with internship from class 6 and proposed redesign of the board examinations. Attaining foundational literacy and numeracy for all children will become an urgent national mission with the implementation of NEP. A national repository of high-quality resources on foundational literacy and numeracy will be made available on the digital infrastructure for knowledge sharing, that is Diksha. The policy proposes to make the they've just done the 5 minutes, Geeta Ramanjam. The policy proposes to make mother tongue the medium of instruction till class 5. NEP has a goal to achieve 100% GER in preschool to secondary school by 2030. Counselors or well-trained social workers connected to schools, school complexes, and teachers will continuously work with students and their parents and will travel through and engage with communities to ensure that all school-age children are attending and learning in school. School education will be broadened to facilitate research for those who have completed 3-year bachelor's program. For student completing 4-year bachelor's program with research, there could be a 1-year master program, and there could be a 1-year master's program. There may be an integrated 5-year bachelor's master program. The policy aims to overcome social status hierarchy associated with vocational education and requires integration of vocational education program into mainstream education in educational institutions in a phased manner. By 2025, at least 50% of the learners through the school and higher education system shall have exposure to vocational education, for which a clear action plan with target and timeliness will be developed. MHRD will constitute a national committee for integration of vocational education consisting of experts in vocational education and representatives from across ministries in collaboration with industry to oversee this effort. What are the similarities? 3-year duration of undergraduation remains as it is. There is autonomy to innovate on matters of curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment within a broad framework of higher education. Choice-based credit system remains with little changes. The difference is, in the existing system, there is a rigid separation of discipline. NEP proposes for large multidisciplinary institution and gradually phasing out the system of affiliated colleges over a period of 15 years through a system of graded autonomy. Present nomenclature such as deemed to be university, affiliating technical university, and unitary university shall be replaced by university on fulfilling the criteria as per norms. The MPhil program shall be discontinued. The implementation. Universities must encourage faculty to innovate in the teaching and research. Incentives should be given for their innovation by tenure track system, promotion and salary increases. This will create the ecosystem for innovation. Our education system separated education from research Most of the students who study in universities, 90% of the students do not get research, even faculty. PhD is end of research. Most PhDs in India do not conduct research. There are 825 researchers per lakh in Israel, 423 per lakh in America, 111 per lakh in China, and 15 per lakh in India. Empowering faculty to innovate in their services and teaching is one of the foremost requirements in NEP. National Research Foundation wants to fund, encourage, and seed research in higher education institutions. In the current system, there is a gap between researchers, government, and industry. NRF will bridge this gap. The future implication, reforms such as self-declaration system, bringing in a 4-year undergraduate program, replacing a cumbersome inspection system, adding a 1 year after to a 12+3 to help students to be eligible for many top-ranked global programs will remove unique barriers that Indian students have faced in the past. Increase in the gross enrollment ratio from 26.3 to 50 by 2030 will boost the Indian economy and per capita income. A common aptitude test for undergraduate admissions will ease off the pressure from students to prepare for multiple streams. It will ensure a level playing ground for all students, and multiple exit options in degree courses will give a boost to vocational qualifications and practical knowledge, which is the need of the hour. The academic bank of credit to be accessed through DigiLocker will be beneficial for students who decide to drop off at various milestones of certificate, diploma, or to come back for completing the degree when they have opportunity. The thrust on multidisciplinary education, which will include more of humanities and social science subjects at IITs and IIMs, would strengthen the holistic academic needs of new generations of IITs and IIMs. Focus on research would foster a strong culture for innovation. Allowing Global Institute to set up campuses in India is also a positive move, as it will increase competition because it will open up our education system, and it will also help sustain high talent in the country, as students don't have to move out to pursue education. Accordingly, the RTA Act 2009 to include children in the age group of 3 to 6 and 14 to 18 age groups to provide statutory status to both ECC and secondary senior education is a necessity. Future implications will be a strong base for early childhood care and education. From age 3 will promote better overall learning, development, and well-being. The systematic training of children will improve the quality of education. Through NEP implementation, if human resource gap is filled, it will improve the quality of pedagogy. With stress upon early childhood education, the children will be school ready by grade 1. A national repository of high-quality resources on foundational literacy and numeracy will be made available on the digital infrastructure for knowledge sharing, that is Diksha, technological interventions to serve as aids to teachers and to help bridge any language barriers that may exist between teachers and students. So now, Professor Siddhappa was talking about mentoring. The mentoring is an important aspect, because without a mentor, we will not be able to progress. So teachers are good mentors. Teaching is a noble job. There is extensive requirement for teachers training, especially the Anganwadis. And you have to have involved multilingualism. For example, I know Hindi, English, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, 5 languages, and 1 international language, French. The more the number of languages you learn, better it is. But you must start with your mother tongue. You must start with your native language. And I stood first in Hindi in SSLC exam. My second language is Hindi. My mother tongue is Kannada. I speak Telugu and Tamil. I have learned French. So that multilingualism is very important in developing a personality. You must be multidisciplinary. As I have said, I am a multidisciplinary. I have a degree in arts. I have a degree in science. I have a degree in engineering. I have a degree in commerce. I have a degree in finance. I have a degree in communication. This has helped me to become a well-rounded personality. It should be inclusive, equitable, and plural society. When you practice that and when you understand the concept understanding, creative learning, critical thinking, these are 3 C's that are required. You have to move from STEAM to STEM. It is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics should be replaced plus arts. STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. There is no art separations now, whether it is co-curricular activities, extracurricular activities, or curricular activities, or vocational education, or a skill-based education, whether it is arts or science or commerce or saying, there should not be any art separation. They, especially in the student system, in the students, formative age, now we are entering into a digital information technology, which has this digital transformation has brought in digital intoxication among the children. This intoxication has led to addiction and digital trauma. How are you going to come from this digital divide that is going to make the rural and the urban children? That will be, it will be set right within a few years within 5G technology. But I am sure that this NAP will transform. It will transform the already, this country into the world guru or the world knowledge provider as we had been 2000 years back. I congratulate Professor Siddhappa and Geeta Ramanjam for their expert lecture on formative education and primary, secondary, and middle school education. I thank the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, Ashwath Narayanji, who has still a long way to go to achieve his highest post in the state. I thank Professor D.P. Singh for his enlightened lecture and also Manish Patwardhan for his insights to the national education policy on the first day. And I thank all the participants, students, policymakers, educationists, professors of this university, and more so all those people who are involved in conducting this program, that is Satish Gowda, Vaini, and also the persons who gave the introduction, Naman and Professor Sudesh and Professor Asina Taj for conducting this first day program. Thank you one and all, and please log in at 10:30 tomorrow or 10:15 tomorrow for the second day's program, where our primary and secondary education minister, my own close friend, Professor Sri Suresh Kumar, will be addressing us, and with another leading stalwarts in education will also be joining us tomorrow. Thank you one and all. We have with us Venkat Rao, L.M. Patnaik, M.K. Surappa on day 2 with the structural and curriculum reforms in education. Thank you one and all.
Manasa Nagabhushan.
And Manasa Nagbhushan.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, since our Vice Chancellor, sir, gave a reference to 5 languages and NEP talks about 3-language formula. Sir, thank you very much. Dhanyavadagalu, Nandri, Messi, Dhanyavadalu. And Shukriya and Dhanyavad, sir. Namaste.
Okay. Okay.
Vahini ma'am, over to you for the question answer session.
Okay, I think it's we are running out of time. Anyway, let us take one question in the chat box. The question is for all 3 of you, sir. Anyone may take the question. In this new policy, you have included rural occupation and traditional education. Will this system allow us to learn in local language? Occupational and traditional education.
Geeta?
Hello.
Okay. Professor Siddhappa?
Yeah, it does allow. There is no problem at all. The new education policy envisages the multilingual languagism in a big way, and if one particular teacher is not well versed to communicate with that person or persons, other teachers will be found, and it is the responsibility of the higher education institutions to arrange for such kind of a thing. It will be done. It has to be done.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Next question.
What steps will be taken to initiate reading skills in early childhood education? One more question. So it will be the last question.
Well, shall I answer that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. In fact, in the early days of the, say, for example, in foundation or preparatory time, in fact, the the experts who have done a lot of research in the early childhood education, they have come to the conclusion with evidences that most of the cognitive skills, including skills also, and the IQ of the boy or girl will be very well developed in the early stage of education only. So therefore, for example, more than 50% of the IQ in all aspects will be acquired by the child in the first 2-3 years time. At the most, by the time one will have the 4 years of education, he or she will be able to acquire a lot of skills, talent, and everything. And all these years, we missed that opportunity of providing a strong foundation and developing the child's intellectual abilities in those early periods at all. We were thinking that the children should not be put into a lot of pressure, this, that, and all. No, we have totally underestimated their capacity, and it is indeed possible.
Okay. Any more questions? Vaini?
No, sir. No, sir. Please carry on.
Yeah. Then.
Ladies and gentlemen, now I consider it as my proud privilege to welcome Senior Assistant Professor Dr. N. Satish Gowda, sir, Senior Faculty of Law, Program Coordinator of Bangalore University National Service Scheme Unit, and a prominent columnist who features regularly in various Kannada newspapers. He has conducted many awareness conferences and workshops throughout during the pandemic, and has authored multiple papers and has delivered plethora of lectures across the globe. Now, I would like to call upon sir to render the vote of thanks.
A very good afternoon to all the dignitaries, academicians, research scholars, students, parents, and everyone present here. I begin my vote of thanks by quoting the words of our father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi. Live as if you are to die tomorrow, learn as if you are to live forever. We are organizing this academic-oriented and meaningful workshop as per the directions of University Grant Commission and under the able guidance of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Bangalore City Professor K.R. Venugopal sir, to inculcate awareness about the new education policy 2020. The government of India, under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister, has fueled this change into the system of education for a better and successful India. This workshop provides a platform to discuss national education policy and how it is going to shape the future of our country. And indeed, I am honored to propose the vote of thanks at the first day workshop theme on transformational education policy hosted by Bangalore City. Firstly, I extend my sincere gratitude to Professor K. Siddhappa sir, former Vice Chancellor, Bangalore City, Bangalore, for gracing the occasion with his erudite presence. Sir very eloquently spoke about vision of national education policy, its fundamental principles, and important changes brought in this policy, and particularly implementation and roadmap for schools and higher education was informative, sir. Our interaction with you has been an enriching learning experience. Thank you, sir, for illuminating our minds in the course of our interaction with you today.
Thank you.
We also have with us today Dr. Geeta Ramanujanam, Founder and Academic Director, GR Education Institutions, Bangalore, who made time out of her busy schedule to grace the occasion. Madam rightly pointed out how this NEP is so comprehensive to ensure the primary education and spoke about the advantages of NEP and its implementation. Thank you, ma'am, for such a thought-provoking and insightful speech. Further, Bangalore City is blessed to have Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor K.R. Venugopal sir, who is a well-known academician and researcher. His relentless effort and proactive measures introduced in the university have brought tremendous changes in the university. We are highly indebted to our beloved Vice Chancellor for his constant support and encouragement and guidance for all our academic endeavors. Sir, I express my sincere thanks to you for your president's remarks. Thanks to all the dignitaries,
Thank
university
you.
officials, deans of different departments, chairmen, faculty members, professionals, students, management, print and visual media for your active participation in this workshop. Thank you one and all.
Okay. So tomorrow's program. Just display tomorrow's program.
Yes, Vinod. Okay. Naman?
Manas and Nagbhushan photo elide. See, you should not make mistakes like this.
It is there, sir. It is there.
Kelagida?
It is there, sir. It is
Oh,
there.
kelagide. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, sirs and ma'ams, from the bottom of our heart, in my personal capacity and also as the Master of Ceremony representing Bangalore University, would like to thank you all for joining us today. And I've been saying this and I shall say it again. The show has just begun. The action has started. And to begin with, tomorrow, with this seminar that is highlights and implementation of national education policy, the theme for day 2 would be structural and curriculum reforms in education. We are privileged and blessed that this session, the chief guest of this session will be Shri S. Suresh Kumar sir, who is the Honorable Minister for Primary and Secondary Education of Government of Karnataka. Professor R. Venkatrao sir, former Vice Chancellor of National Law School and currently the Chairperson of Vivekananda School of Law and Legal Studies, New Delhi. Professor L.M. Patnaik sir, former Vice Chancellor of Defence Institute Advanced Technology, Deemed University, Pune. Professor M.K. Surappa sir, Vice Chancellor, Anna University, Chennai. Professor B. Thimmegowda sir, former Vice Chancellor of Bangalore University and Karnataka State Rural Development and Panchayat Raj University, Gadag. Dr. Manasa Nagabhushan ma'am, Director for Academics and Research, ISRR, EC member, Center for Education and Social Studies, Bengaluru. Presidential address and the leader of this program, the entire workshop is our astute statesman, our beloved Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, Professor Venugopal Kyasa, Vice Chancellor, Bangalore University, Bengaluru. Tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Kindly start logging in at 10 a.m. There will be some time to log in because we are doing certain verifications before giving you access. So kindly start logging in from 10 a.m. sharp so that by 10:30 a.m. without any delay, we shall look forward to hosting you. Not just today, tomorrow, but for all the 5 days to come, we seek your blessings, support, and presence, which is going to be elephantine in ensuring the event's success. Thank you all once again. Have a great day. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka, Hail Mother India, Hail Globe, Hail Karnataka. Thank you very much.
Last announcement for feedback link is placed in the chat box. So please fill the feedback.
Okay, thank you one and all. So I will speak to you tomorrow. Today evening, all volunteers will meet again at 7 o'clock. Vaini.
Madam, okay, sir. Rupa madam, end the meeting.
Yeah.